Hey y'all! And welcome to the Sorry Not Sorry Generation podcast, where we bring you a not-so-healthy dose of humor and reality as we get our hands dirty with some serious nostalgia and question everything.
Let's dive in.
Hey y'all! It's Misty. I am your DM, as well as playing Jaz'Zara Telina, the half-drow Gloomstalker Ranger.
It is Ani, and I am playing Valkaria Nightcore, heir to the Dragon Knight Syndicate, and I am a tiefling shadow sorcerer.
Hi, it's Erin, and I am playing Asha Kel, Dampier Twilight Cleric.
Woo!
Yay!
Such excite.
Oh, right.
Such nerdy excite.
I know, right? It's great. But if we weren't nerds, our lives would be so fucking boring.
I know.
It's true.
We might actually be interested in talking with normal people.
Ew.
Can you imagine how boring that is? Yeah, so the Dow Jones went down 2% today.
Are those people normal? Those people are not weird in a completely different way.
It's like, did you see what little Timmy did? He made his volcano for the science fair.
Congrats, Timmy.
Awful sad.
Anyone starts talking to you about cryptocurrency, fucking run.
Yeah.
I can teach you about crypto. No, you fucking cannot. Please go away.
Because you don't know. Nobody knows what cryptocurrency is. No one. Even the person who made it was just like, I don't know.
Like even Elon Musk just said it's a hustle.
It's a hustle.
It is the most lucrative hustle possibly ever. But hey, so is the concept of trying to make people pay for Twitter. So there is that. I will never not laugh at that one medical company getting cost billions of dollars because somebody spent $8 to impersonate them. That's truly the greatest thing I've ever seen in the internet history. So
That's some Robin Hood shit right there.
right, that was ooh. Okay.
Did you guys see the video where some random person like basically answers a rocket engineering question for Elon?
Oh yeah, and he's like, "I'll be right back."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, "That's supposed to like let go off the launch or something." He's like,
Oh, I did see that.
I have to go.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, it was a YouTuber who'd gotten, he'd done something to get an interview with him. Yeah, I remember saying that. Oh, there's one more thing, and I have to tell you this because it happened to me today. So have you seen that video where that guy is telling you how, if the reason we get hiccups is because some like leftover holdover from when we evolved from fish?
Oh, God.
Yes.
I don't know how real that is, but so like,
Yes.
don't at me on Instagram, people. Like, that's not what really happened. I don't care because that's not the point. But like, they say that when you have the hiccups, the way to get rid of them, and they won't, like just right then and there, is to think to yourself, "I am not a fish," which sounds insane and stupid. I saw this video last night again, because I've seen it before, but it came across my feed last night, and I'm like, that is still the dumbest thing on the fucking planet. I had hiccups today, and I had it like repetitively over and over, and as I'm walking out of the hallway, that video dawned on me. So what did I think to myself? I thought to myself, I am not a fish. They stopped. They stopped. Literally right there. I hiccuped like 4 times in a row, and I thought to myself, I am not a fish, and they fucking stopped. I don't know what to do with that information, but now all of you have to know it too.
The end of 2022 is the theme of the fish.
Oh, God. I hadn't thought of that.
Fish things everywhere.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. I'm regretting all of my life choices that have led me to Fishtopia, but you know what? All right. But yeah, I just want you all just to absorb that information for a minute, because I did that, and it fucking worked. I don't know what that means, but I just thought to myself, I am not a fish, and just like in a humorous tone to myself, and it went away. And I'm just, and
You have to say it out loud or just think it.
No, I just thought it. You just think it. And I'm just like, because, like, if you say it out loud, maybe I would be willing to think that maybe, like, the movement of, like, your vocal cords and the inhalation of breath, maybe you, like, reset, like, whatever. No, I just thought the words, I am not a fish. And the fucking hiccups stopped. Instantly. And I must have stood there for, like, 10 seconds, like, waiting for them to come back. And they just
You're
didn't.
Just going, come on,
And I'm
I
like,
know you're in there.
apparently I have reaffirmed my place in the universe by assuring it I am not a fish. So
And then I know I am not a fish.
and that resets whatever controls your hiccups, apparently. So, I just really, I meant to tell you guys that at the top, but
That is great.
there you go. Okay. Speaking of fish, in our little recap, last time our party found themselves in the town of Palebank, in which they were exploring and thieving slightly from a couple of different places while looking for the answers and the clues to a sickness that had been going around the town called the Frozen Sick, and that it was slowly freezing quite a few members of the town to ice. And on the request of Elro, who is the head and founder of the town, he's asked you guys to look into it to try and figure out what's causing it, what's happening. In the process, you went and you visited the first victim's cabin. You dug around in it. You stole a couple of things, and
We don't talk about that.
you found a clue that led you to the cabin of possibly one of the rudest people you've encountered in quite some time. She was truly just kind of a bitch to you guys after introducing you briefly to her wolves. She kicked you out after telling you all that she worked for a crime family from Shady Creek Run known as the Oodalot family. And her sister and a bunch of others were sent there in order to loot goods from Aor that were coming into the town that Urgon and others had found over the years. And she stole a bunch of it from Verla's store known as Pelk's Curiosities. And that she believes that one of the items there was causing her illness. So all of you traipsed out to Pelk's Curiosities, where you found the store was being ransacked by a bunch of Oodalot family bandits, who were, after you burst into the room, fought a bunch of people. Well, I say fought. Everybody, with the exception of Valkaria, fought someone. Valkaria trapped an elf in a lobster trap, then tried to hit him over the head with a nutcracker, and then stole some shit after all the fighting was done. Everybody else, participated to some extent, but Val, man, you having Mage Hand is a thing.
Let's not forget that I also kept a piece of said lobster trap to add to my collection of tchotchkes.
Or the fact that you stole a bracelet made of humanoid teeth that you now wear on your tail. So there is that. After you guys defeated and killed 3 of the bandits, you did keep 2 of them alive, and both of them were taken into custody by Urgon and the Glassblades for interrogation and possibly to be set free at a later time. You're not really sure, because that process is still going on. And you found the unfortunate body of Verla Pelk, the owner of the store, who had such a severe and advanced case of the frozen sick illness that she was frozen solid in a block of ice. Urgon determined that she was likely the second victim Elrod determined that she was likely the second victim after Urgon. And it was possible that whatever illness had come into the town had come from whatever Urgon had sold. So, after interrogating kind of what Asha described as a tweaker of an elf, who was laying in a bathtub that Jaz'Zara had thrown him in, very much of a tweaker, you guys found out where the rest of the bandits were staying, in a place called Croaker Cave, which was about a half-day journey outside of town, which you learned in advance was full of ice toads that the bandits were trying to train to be kind of like guard dogs, but, much more uncooperative.
Val had other intentions.
So, armed with a series of frozen fish for bait, you guys set off to Croaker Cave, and after a short but at least kind of interesting trip there, because you did see some cute little foxes on the way, a frozen lake with some massive-ass creature floating around in it, you guys made your way to the cave, and after you entered, you encountered your first series of frogs, which Valkaria fed fish to, but didn't really seem to help her case because they did knock her off of the wooden plank you guys were trying to traverse of a little frozen lake, and knocked her ass in the water. And after paddling in possibly the weirdest way I've ever seen somebody swim ever, of the whole... And trust me, that sound effect is in that episode. I know, because I listened to that episode back today, so there is that. Yes. So, and after Valkaria getting soaking wet, both Valkaria and Asha discovering that Jaz'Zara is invisible in the dark upon will because of her Gloomstalker abilities, you stumbled upon a series of elves and dwarves who were trying to train some of these frogs. And you opted all to have Jaz'Zara, who was invisible in the dark, to go forward and try to take some of them out ahead of time, so they wouldn't see you, which she did, and she succeeded in taking out 2, before the third and the frogs that were there were presented with an interesting spectacle of Asha in the middle of the room, trying to stab a frog, which she did not know frogs were harmed in the making of that episode, and a lone elf, a traumatized elf, an elf who was probably quite glad for their end, as Valkaria, who never bothered to actually enter into the fight officially, it just stood pretty far back, took a fish, tried to use the fish to coax a frog to attack its elf friend by taking this fish with her mage hand, floating it invisibly through the air, and shoving it in the face of this elf, trying to shove the fish in its mouth. This did not work because she rolled a 5. Then trying again, and rolling a 6, also failing, and has only succeeded in smearing a frozen, dead fish over the face of this elf, giving it a lovely fish scale exfoliation in the process, before finally this elf was put out of its misery and murdered by Jaz'Zara. And Asha eventually used some of the bait left over from the elves and threw it into a small pond so that the frogs would hop on their little merry way. And both Asha and Jaz'Zara had opinions about Valkaria's actions during the fight.
And feelings.
And feelings and attitudes and...
And I know for a fact that Asha is still not over it.
Asha did take the unfortunate brunt of everything. Is the only one visible during the fight, so the only one the elf was able to target whatsoever.
Yeah, Asha's she's not thrilled right now.
Yeah. So Asha's not all that thrilled, and Jaz'Zara is just at this moment not really. She's just kind of done with what's happening in her whole life right now. And at this point, slightly abandoning Valkaria in the room that the toads had been in, where all the now dead people are, Asha and Jaz'Zara have walked into a new room and have discovered that the room has a bunch of bedrolls and like a little fire pit. The fire's not lit, but you guys have a little fire pit that's there where these people are clearly using to stay. And so you guys enter into a room. There's a cold fire. A series of probably about a dozen bedrolls are set around it. And you notice that the cave, you have come in from the west, and there are a split to the north of the cave. One goes in like a direction that you can kind of tell leads back towards the entrance, possibly towards where those that bat area is that you guys didn't want to go to because it was covered in guano. Mm-hmm. And then there's another one that slightly forks off to the right, which it seems to expand if you were to go in that direction.
Okay.
So, so you're in this room with these bedrolls, some packs and stuff like that, and a little fire pit.
Well, Asha is still a little soggy
Yeah, that's fair.
and salty. And so she is gonna go over the farthest away she can from Val, and
Okay.
she is going to park it on one of the bedrolls. And no, she's not gonna park it. She's gonna look for some firewood because she's tired of it, and then she's gonna park it when she gets the fire going.
There's some fire or like firewood and stuff like that, and you have a tinder box on you and stuff like that, so you can light a little fire that's there. I want you to go ahead. I want you to make me a perception check, Asha, at disadvantage.
Okay.
Too bad I don't have.
That did not roll that well. That one. It literally did not roll. Okay, so 7.
7? Okay. So you take a moment, you light the fire and everything like that, and you're gonna go park it on one of these bedrolls. You, my dear, step onto one of these bedrolls, and the bedroll vanishes because it falls.
No! What the fuck?
So you and this bedroll now find yourself in a 10-foot deep hole.
Just my fucking luck!
And you are going to take 3 points of damage from that hole.
Alrighty.
Val walks over, and I'm sure Asha can hear her tail swishing with the teeth bracelet, and I'm going to assume that you just kind of see, like, so Val is going to go onto her hands and knees and just kind of, like, peer over and be like, you okay?
Asha is very much in a heap at the bottom of the thing, seething, because this is the same feeling that you get when you're already pissed, and then the door catches your jacket, and you just lose your shit, and there is a moment of just screaming. It is not pain, it is rage.
Asha and Jaz'Zara's gonna slightly lean over to like look at, you want us to leave you in the pit for a couple minutes?
I just need a second.
Okay, and I'm just gonna grab Valkaria and just physically pull her away and just like kind of shove Val, just like go look through the other bedrolls, but don't step on any of them, be careful. But like just give her a minute. Just give her a minute.
Alright, so Val's gonna walk around
just quietly counting to 10.
In every language that she knows.
We're on language 3 already.
Val's gonna go around the bedrolls and just start poking at each one with her staff because she doesn't want to fall.
Okay. Go ahead and are you trying to find anything particular or just see if they fall?
First, I want to make sure nothing's gonna fall.
Okay.
And then I can loot through them.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a perception check, which will be straight because you're using the staff to push down.
11.
11? Okay. You notice that about 3 bedrolls away from where Asha has fallen, there's another one, and you kind of like push that down and it like falls and everything. But beyond that, you don't see any more. And the rest of the bedrolls seem to be actually on like stable ground. And do you want to try to loot any of them, or?
Well, first, because I don't want to ask or talk to Asha right now and be in the direct line of fire.
That's valid.
Val is gonna jump, or like, hop into the hole, this 10-foot hole.
The one she's in, or a different one?
The one that, the only other one that's there.
Okay.
The other one that
Just
was
so I can see if there's anything in there. So I doesn't want to ask Asha questions because Asha's pissed.
Okay.
And
so you
then
jump.
I will loot through the rest.
Well, you're gonna jump in this hole, so we're gonna deal with that first. You jump in this hole. I'm gonna assume you do it carefully, maybe like sit on the edge and then like pop yourself down because it is like a 10-foot drop and everything like that. All right, you look around. I would make you roll a perception check, but it's literally a 10-foot hole. Like you can see that there's nothing in it. Great. Now here's my question: how are you getting out of the hole? It's a 10-foot hole.
How tall am I?
You're not 10 feet.
Uh-huh.
You're however tall you want to be because tieflings are about the same size humans are.
Well,
so.
Did you have your backpack on when you dropped, or did you set it down?
Probably still had it on because I have rope in there.
She has a rope.
Great. What you gonna do with it?
Nothing. I'm actually gonna use my mage hand and try and find.
Oh, the mage hand.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and find Jazz and tap her on the shoulder and be like, "Help."
Oh.
Well, you can't tap on Jazz if you can't see her. And you don't see her because she's not standing next to the edge.
Okay.
No. So
Alright, fine. I get my rope.
Great. Give me a perception check if you would.
18.
18? Great. You can tell by looking at it that there's nothing to tie the rope on.
Great, you can tell.
Yep.
Great, you figured that one out, smarty pants.
Yep. And here I was looking for the chart that has the stuff that you could find, and you decided instead you were going to jump in a hole. So, not entirely sure I need that. So, but I'm going to keep looking for it just because you might get yourself out of this hole one day. But it's not now. So
can't I
now
climb? Because I have claws.
You can try. It's a strength check.
It's a dirt hole, right?
It's a dirt hole in the ground. You can try. It is also partially made of ice because it's an ice cave.
That's true. Okay. Strength
So
check?
Probably.
You can give me a strength check, yeah. A 2. You reach up, stick your claws in, pop your feet up on the wall, and that's the whole show. You are about 4 inches off of the ground with your claws stuck in the wall, going absolutely nowhere. Just you, your tail swishing back and forth really hard, and just you attached to this wall like, this is harder than I thought it was going to be.
I just see her tail just going, like, she's trying to propel herself upwards.
Uh-huh.
And then she remembers she's not a fish.
Yep. That is exactly what's happening. Jaz'Zara, who is the only one not in a hole, is going to turn around after she's done like looking around in the area that she was investigating and just realize she's alone. But there's suddenly a new hole, and she's going to walk over to the edge of the hole, look down, see that of just you stuck in this, and she's going to go. She's not going to say a damn thing. She's just going to walk over to Ash's hole. She's going to.
And Asha has counted to 10 in all of her languages now, and so she's practiced a little deep breathing. And she's ready to speak to people. Now, am I in a similar hole where it's just straight down? Okay.
Yes.
But Jaz'Zara is coming over. She's come over to your hole, Asha, and she's like, "Hey, how you doing?"
She's in a hole, isn't she?
Yeah. I think she might be stuck in the ice, to be honest. But I don't. No. Just no. I'm not going to deal with that.
Can't I just have one thing to myself?
Guys?
You can. I hate to say this, Asha, but you can have this hole.
Guys?
Shut up! You deserve this. This is payback for the fish.
Can we just leave her in there?
I heard that.
You were supposed to.
Asha, would you like help?
Yes, please.
Okay, and Jaz'Zara has rope. Asha, I believe you're the only one in the group who doesn't have rope, but most of the other two have rope. So Jaz'Zara's gonna take her rope, and then she'll wind part of it around her arm so she can hold on to it, because there's nothing around here to tie it to. And she lowers part of it in for you, and you can either tie it around yourself and help climb as Jaz'Zara pulls you up, or you can use it to just gym class style try and climb the rope.
I feel like Asha's gonna need help because she's kind of
Okay.
bookish. So we'll wrap, and then do I need to roll a strength check or?
You're gonna roll a strength check at advantage because of the rope.
Okay.
And Jaz'Zara will roll 1, 2,
14.
14 from you, and a 15 from Jaz'Zara. So between the two of you, you do manage to get up there, and you have the rope tied around your waist, and you're trying to climb up as Jaz'Zara backs up and she pulls you up the side, and the two of you manage to get yourself out. Val's in a pit, and you untie the rope from yourself, and Jaz'Zara puts it away and everything, and Jaz'Zara's gonna look at you for a minute, and she's gonna go, and she's not gonna say anything out loud, but she's just gonna put her finger up, so it's just the 1 minute gesture. She goes back into the other room where the dead elf is, gets some of the fish that are in it, comes back,
stands at the edge of Val's pit, and just dumps a couple of fish in there with her. Here, in case you get hungry later.
What do you mean later?
Bye. And
Bye.
she's gonna walk where Val can't see her.
I hate you both.
Jazz is gonna make like the footstep noises, like you're walking, like she's walking away. She's not actually going anywhere, but she's gonna make the noises. So like they start off loud and then they slowly get quieter, and like so that it sounds like she's walking away.
I hate you both. Someone please get me out of this.
Do we help her?
Do we? Elle, I'm afraid we can't leave her here. I can't imagine what would happen to those poor toads.
For the
Toad
sake
army.
of the toads only.
So Jaz'Zara will go back to the hole and just like, have you perhaps learned a lesson yet?
Clearly don't fight with fish.
It's part of it.
And maybe the next time we're in a town that sells like real stuff, maybe you owe Asha like a gift of some sort. Something not fish related. Just saying. And like Jaz'Zara is crouched at the edge of the hole, like saying this to Val. And she's like, maybe you should get her something like not fish related at some point. Like, I don't know, a book, some flowers, something.
Coffee.
Just coffee,
Yes, Mom.
chocolate, something. Like, just
Yes,
like,
Mom.
just saying. So, Jaz'Zara will put her rope down into the hole. First of all, Val, I want you to roll me a strength check to get your claws out of the wall.
Oh boy.
Because you are stuck at the moment.
11.
11. You do get them out. Like, you have to, like, you put your feet down, which is a little bit on your tippy toes, and because of how, like, high you'd stuck your hands up, and you just kind of, like, pull one hand out, and that hurts your claws. You're over there shaking your hand, because that hurt. And then you gotta do it again. You gotta pull your claws out of the other one. They're all still intact, luckily for you, but that hurt.
Can
Yeah.
that be compensation? Because that hurt.
And Jaz'Zara's gonna drop some rope down to you, and you have the same choice of you can just try to like climb up gym class style, or you can pull a rope and tie it around yourself, and then the girls can help pull you out.
I will help my way out of this hole.
You gonna tie it to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna like as they're pulling me, I'm gonna climb up too.
Okay.
So I will help them help me out.
Okay. So you can roll a strength check with advantage, and Jaz'Zara will roll 1, 2.
20, not 20.
Nat 20. All right. So you go, and with the rope tied around you as Jaz'Zara's pulling you back, you can stick your claws into the ice in a way that's not so deep, and you can just like kind of like spider climb your way up, and you like kind of skitter, and your claws make this really kind of interesting like clashing sound against the ice, and you just like skitter right on up. So, and you just pop right over the edge. So no big deal to you. So the second time around.
Thank you.
It's like, okay, well, that was something. And
No other word
Just-
for it. Something.
Jaz'Zara's gonna say, did anybody want to look at any of this stuff, or did we just want to keep going?
Now that I know none of them actually have holes in them and the holes are useless, I'll actually go through them.
Okay. You can roll me an investigation check. Asha, are you gonna look around?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me one as well.
14.
14 for Val, 13 for Jazz.
14.
14. Okay. Okay. We are going to I'm going to have one of you first start by rolling a d8. It's the one that looks like a diamond.
3.
3? Who rolled that? Asha?
Yeah.
Yeah? So you, as you're fiddling around a little bit, you find a spyglass hidden in one of the bedrolls. It's a fairly nice looking spyglass. It's made out of, it's a decent metal. It's not like super expensive looking, but it's functional. Like you pick it up and you look through it and everything, and it's functional. For a gold value, I'd say about 15 gold. So, all right. Val, roll me a d8, but don't get a 3. Like if you roll a 3, just roll something else.
5.
5. As you're digging around these bedrolls, you notice that one of them has a really nice silk pillow. So it's just like you're looking around. A lot of the rest of it is all like torn and dirty. But somebody clearly gave some kind of a shit about like just their comfort and stylish stuff. And there's a really nice silk pillow here.
Okay.
So you can take that if you'd like.
And that's in my pack.
Jaz'Zara got a 1. And she finds a pair in like somebody's personal pack. She finds a very small pair of studded ruby earrings. So,
Very nice.
to write that down.
What's the gold value on that?
30 gold.
Ooh.
Val, your pillow is a 5 gold pillow. But it is real silk, though. So
Not spider silk. That would be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
cool. Alrighty. So, you guys look through the area and everything like that. You don't see anything else of any kind of value. The rest of it's just bedrolls and stuff like that. And you don't really want to take people's used bedrolls with you,
No.
so.
Ew.
And so you guys keep going, and Jaz'Zara's going to take the lead as you guys go through these tunnels and stuff like that. So you guys start moving along. You go down the tunnel. I'm assuming you guys don't want to go down the tunnels you've already come, so you go through the only one you haven't. And you go towards the edge of this pool, and you find another frozen lake.
Great.
However, this time, there is no board or anything, but this lake is much, much bigger. And you get to the edge of this water, and you're kind of staring at it because you don't really know how to get across. You can see that it goes back and then kind of turns a bit to the left, and it gets really kind of dark over there. You can see the walls and everything like that, but it does turn away from like where you can see it all. And you're kind of standing there for a second, and just about that time when you're standing there trying to like contemplate how the hell are we supposed to get across this, or do we get across this, the surface of the water bubbles
Oh,
a lot.
It's bubbling.
a lot.
It's not rippling, it's bubbling.
And
Lord have mercy.
it bubbles in like a 5-foot like circle, and up out of the water comes the biggest fucking toad you've ever seen in your life. And when
Asha knows that her reaction should be fear, but all she can do is muster a deep, deep sigh.
truly, this toad is just stupidly large. This toad is probably about 10 feet from like where it's from top to bottom. That's about a 10-foot toad. It's like you can consider it about the size of the Pokemon Lapras, like the back part of it. Like it's like that. It's huge, and this single giant toad comes up out of the water, probably about 5 feet from where you guys are, and just lets out this really deep ribbit and stares at you. What would you like to do?
No shot at me befriending this one, you think?
No.
Didn't
Well, Jazz is gonna lean over to you and just like, feed it a fish before it tries to eat us.
Hold, please. I must reach into my bra. Where apparently I keep my fish.
It's exactly where you keep your fish.
Fish pouch.
Fishy pouch. For the listeners, Ani has just put her fake fish in her bra.
And out it has come.
Exactly. So go ahead and roll an animal handling check to give this giant toad a fish.
I don't have one, do I? 17.
17. That toad stares at you. And it stares at you, and it sinks under the water, and you're like, okay. And then it suddenly rises up out of the water directly in front of you. Its gigantic ass mouth opens, reaches forward, closes around your hand, and then slurps the fish out of it, leaving your hand in a little bit of slimy toad slime. But it eats the fish. It looks at you. It turns itself around, sinks into the water a little bit, but raises its back up. So its back is out of the water, and it kind of looks like a boat that you could just get on. Like it's offering you a ride.
Well, Miss Slimy Hand says all aboard.
Alright.
This is
Y'all
weird.
can't ever tell me that my love for animals or obsession with them has never led you astray. The previous fish incident withstanding.
Notwithstanding. Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, we better not waste any more of his precious time.
Jaz'Zara's just gonna be like, I'm not even gonna question this shit anymore. Like, why the fuck not? And you guys pop on a toad, and you take the Toad Boat Express across this water. Now, the shore that it drops you off on, it's probably about a 40-foot wide little, like, pond area. And it drops you off on the other side because it takes you over there. It sinks itself down, like, so that you can, like, pop right off. And as soon as you get off, it kind of, like, sinks itself back into the water. And Jazz will kind of lean over to you. He's like, I hope you still have another fish for the ferry ride back.
You got 2 fish left.
Alright.
Save them fish, man.
I mean, 2 that I bought. I also packed the ones that Jazz threw on top of me.
That's fair. We'll say you have...
5.
Yeah, we'll say you have 5 fish now. You have 5 fish in total. So, you guys, you get off. Now, the cave is much narrower here than it was before. But you, as you step off of this frog, you feel an intense warmth around you, which is really bizarre to you. But you see light from a fire, what looks like a really big fire, is just around the bend of the cave. And Jaz'Zara's gonna, like, press herself up against the wall because she can hear, and so can you, somebody talking. And there's just a huge heat wave coming from over there. But Jaz'Zara presses herself against a wall, and she, like, puts a finger to her lips for you guys to be quiet. What would you like to do? You can, like, listen, you can do whatever.
I'm gonna stay put, but I'm gonna listen. Because clearly I should not be the one moving forward.
Okay.
Is Jazz on, like, the right side of the cave, the left side of the cave?
I would say she's on, like, the left side of the cave. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of hang back by the water and, like, kind of fall in right behind Jazz as much as I can.
Okay.
Like, squish in.
Alright, Jaz'Zara's gonna get kind of, like, really, like, close to the wall, and, like, you guys can, like, peek around if you'd like. Everybody roll me a perception check if you want to try and look in the room.
I'm envisioning 3 raccoons in a coat.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
17.
19.
Jaz'Zara gets a 20 in total, not nat. So all of you see this. As you look into the room, a warm rush of heat comes from a massive fire burning in the center of the cavern. The smoke from the fire is venting up through what looks like a small, like, hole in the ceiling that's been, like, chipped out of the ice. The flames are really just kind of... The fire is so big, it's throwing, like, shadows everywhere. But what you can see on the far right wall, illuminated by this fire, is a massive painting that almost looks like a cave painting done with, black paint. On the wall is a giant 5-headed dragon mural, and you see on the ground in front of it is, like, this little thing of what looks like homemade paint in front of it. There's a couple of bedrolls off to the other side towards the left, and there's also one directly next to the mural itself. Then, sitting around this giant fire, you see 2 figures. One is a dwarf who seems to just be covered in cloaks and blankets and just all of this heavy clothing and materials and stuff like that. And next to them sits an elf whose entire face is covered in tattoos that look like dragon scales. And on the forehead, there's, like, this really fancy kind of design, like, right in the middle of the forehead. And both of them are sitting there with their eyes closed.
Do they look asleep, or do they look like they're just...
They look like they're meditating.
Okay. Be a shame if someone disturbed them. Shut up.
But both of them are sitting side by side. They're facing the fire, they are facing the cave entrance where you would come in. Mm-hmm. But they're sitting side by side. And they're both, like, bundled with these layers. So one of them, the one with the female who has all of the dragon scale tattoos, she's has a bunch of bundles of, like, blankets and cloaks over her as well, as so does the dwarf that's sitting next to her. Which the dwarf is a male, the elf is a woman.
Well, my first thought is, who else have we seen covered in cloaks and blankets with a blazing fire? Everybody that's been sick. And so my first thought is, how close, and I'm going to voice this out loud, how close do we get if they're sick?
And Jaz'Zara will look back, and I'm assuming you guys have like leaned back out of the cave entrance.
And
at
I
that
was
point.
whispering, yeah.
Yeah, and Jaz'Zara will be like, I would keep some kind of a distance of, I would say, 10 feet at least. 10, probably 15 feet would be better. Just try and stay on the other side of the fire from them. Would probably be your best bet.
Now,
And
are
just
we going to talk to them, or do we think they're part of the...
I think if we're gonna try and find out what's going on, we're gonna have to talk to them first. Like, we can always
Since
fight
I
later.
can see them, can I tap them on the shoulder with my mage hand?
You can. You will have to step within sight of them because you have to have sight of to tap them with your mage hand accurately.
Okay.
And do you relay this to the group first?
Yes. What do you
Okay.
guys think? Should I do that?
What do you think, Jazz?
We're far enough away that we won't get hurt.
I think if we just step just inside of the entrance and you can just use your mage hand to get their attention and just don't raise any weapons. I would say just keep your weapons down, obviously, in case they attack us first. And if they attack us first, it's kind of all over. But we should try and start this with some kind of diplomacy, I think.
Yes.
Now, can I always ask this. What is thaumaturgy again?
Thaumaturgy? Thaumaturgy. Make some noise. So there's a couple things you can do with it. You can make your voice super loud, like microphone style. You can cause the a flame to get brighter, dimmer, or to change color. You can create a instantaneous little sound effect, like a creaking door or like a footstep noise.
Okay.
You can make faint animal sounds, like bird calls and stuff like that. You can unlock a door or window and cause it to fly open. It will only do that. You can't do it quietly. It has to fly open at really fast speeds.
Okay.
Now... And you can change the color of your eyes.
Okay.
Temporarily.
With minor illusion, could I send, like... Basically, could I send a visual message to be like, hi, how are you? Like, imagine little fireworks going off spelling hi.
No,
Okay.
Minor illusion doesn't make any sound. You can make an image of, like, a person, kind of. It will be static, though. It can't, like, walk around and stuff like that. So you can't do movement. There's a more advanced version of the spell that lets you, like, mimic an actual person or something like that.
Okay.
So you could make, like, if you're holding, like, say you're holding some coins in your hand, you could minor illusion to make it look like they're not there. You could minor illusion some coins to make them look like they are in your hand, or a scroll to make it look like it reads something else than what it does. But all of, like, a vision of a full person moving around or saying anything is not within the bounds of that spell.
Okay. So nothing that I would think of could make little words appear. Alright. So, I'm just gonna take my mage
They also both have their eyes closed and are meditating. So even if, like, if you put an image in front of them that didn't make any noise, they would not see it. So.
Well, I was thinking to be like, popping sounds to be like, hello.
Yeah,
But,
that's fair.
I'll just take my mage hand over and just kind of tap in between them.
Okay.
Like, wherever
Like
they're
just
sitting.
tap
so
from one to the other, maybe?
Yeah, just like kind of
Yeah.
high.
Okay. So all of you are going to stand towards the entrance of the cave, and Jaz'Zara will stand in front, and you can just, like, reach your hand out to send out mage hand from, like, behind her and stuff like that. And you reach over and you tap the two figures on the shoulders, and instantly, soon as something touches them, their eyes both snap open. The dwarven male stands up on his feet, but the elven woman does not. And neither of them say anything. They just stare at you.
Awkward wave time. Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Are you guys okay?
The
Meals on wheels.
Meals on wheels.
Wheels on wheels. Good God, that's...
Sorry, I only have frozen fish.
And Jaz'Zara's just gonna kind of just, like, close her eyes for just a split second, just thinking to herself, oh God, okay, here we go. Here we go. The dwarven figure is gonna, like, take a kind of a shaky step forward, but he takes a step forward. Who are you? Why are you here?
We're not from around here, but we were just in town at Palebank trying to help out the townsfolk.
And Jaz'Zara's kind of look at the elven woman, and she's like, I do believe we ran into your sister. She looks to be in a very similar situation as you. And the elven woman who is sitting kind of like focuses more on that, and she kind of leans forward. And what would you know of my situation?
Well, let me take a wild gander and say you're partially frozen.
She doesn't say anything. She just kind of looks at you. And Jaz'Zara's going to take a single step forward, and she's going to say, judging by your silence, I'm going to assume we're correct. But judging by the fact that you're possibly just as frozen as your sister, I'm going to assume you don't have any better idea of what can be used to cure this than she does. But then again, that's why you sent the bandits to Pelk's Curiosities, isn't it? Hulil? And the elf who is Hulil. And it like focuses on her, and she says, well, you all seem to know quite a bit. I don't suppose you have the cure for all of this, too?
Not yet.
We've been trying to find answers.
Of course.
Your sister clearly was not interested in our help.
Well, she's typically not very amendable to most things.
Good to know.
But that's always been her way. And you notice at that point, like as she sits a little straighter and like she adjusts some of her blankets, she's wearing a medallion that is also a 5-headed dragon on it, that is made out of what looks like a black metal, and it sits in the middle of her chest. And she's going to look at you, and she says, well, I guess since their cat is out of the proverbial bag, if you will, yes, I have the illness, so does my companion here. And he will step forward a little bit, and he said, and he's standing, so you can tell he doesn't have it as badly as she does, but when he steps, it is very like blockish, like heavy movement.
Yeah.
It's a little bit lumbering, so you can kind of imagine that maybe one of his feet is possibly frozen, if not both of them, but he's still managing to stay like upright. And she says, I'm trying to earn coin to go back to Shady Creek Run and hope somebody there in the family can give us a cure. I'm not interested in fighting with any of you. I'm not interested in anything to do with this town anymore. I just want a cure.
I got nothing for that.
Jaz'Zara, she's going to close a little bit of the distance, not a whole lot. She's going to take like a couple steps in the room so that she's in the cave proper. Are you guys going to follow behind or stay towards the back?
I'm gonna follow.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow and kind of, to the side, so we're like shoulder to shoulder.
Okay. Put Jazz a little further forward so I can put you guys there.
At least if we're together, we look somewhat menacing.
There you go.
Can't really walk.
And it is 3-2, so as you step into this cave, you can see now on the wall where it had expanded, where you could see it, there is a very large chest sitting there. And it has very intricate dragon carvings, and on the very top of it has a dragon head with the mouth very slightly open, like the way it's carved, like into the top. And but she's gonna look at you, and Hulil is. She's like, and she says, "Look, my people were supposed to find items from Aor, and Urgon, when he came to the town, boasting of all of the fantastical things he found while he was exploring." He sold most of them to Pelks, so we took the opportunity to just grab and go. At least that was the plan. We went in, stole a bunch of shit, thought maybe we'd wait to see if he was going to sell any other things, because according to the gossip around town, he'd kept some things. But he didn't sell anything else, and turns out he started to get sick, and so did the rest of us. Turns out it's the frigid woe, as they call it. One of the lovely curses to come out of Aor.
Frigid woe. Alright.
And Jaz'Zara's gonna say, how do you know the name of it? And Hulil will kind of like straighten, but she'll kind of sigh at the same time, and she's like, it's not necessarily unheard of. The frigid woe has a tendency to infect people who go exploring some of the laboratories of Aor. of course.
Laboratories. What were they experimenting on?
In Aor, anything, everything magical, dangerous, everything from weird magical crops to diseases that were supposed to kill the gods. They were especially fond of those. People think that maybe this frigid woe was some kind of basis for something like that. Something to slowly freeze you from the inside out. Would work great on some unsuspecting god who thought maybe they weren't, susceptible to human maladies. So,
can Val send a message to Asha and ask her if she's got any books, like if any of the books that she has have curses from Aor?
Sure. Yeah. So you are going to use message for the first time, I believe, which is cool. So message is a spell that lets you very briefly say a sentence from your mind into the mind of somebody else you can see. Mm-hmm. And so you, from telepathically send a text message to Asha. And I believe there's a... Yep, so you just have to concentrate for a second. You can look at Asha and you can send a little message to her. So what exactly would you like to ask?
If she can... I guess she can't check now, unless you want to check now. If she can check and see if there are any curses listed in any of her books.
And I'm gonna go, I'm going to use my feline of fey knowledge, myth.
Okay.
I'm going to use the magic word awaken.
Okay. And you're wearing the bracelet. Which arm are you wearing it on? Left? Okay. So you got this little bracelet on you. You speak the command word and it warms, and then the cat figure that is the bracelet starts to rotate around your wrist, and then when it comes up onto the top of your wrist, it poofs into this magical kitty cat.
And I'm gonna pet it, and I'm gonna ignore the look that Val's giving me, and I'm going to pull out the first book, and then do I need to say a magic word for him to...
No, you can just ask him. He'll speak.
Okay.
He speaks to you, so he talks.
Myth,
and
sorry.
You scratch his little back, and he does that kitty cat stretch where he stretches his butt way in the air, and he kind of shakes himself. Kind of sitting on your... He's extraordinarily light, far lighter than any kind of actual cat of that size would be. And he kind of sits there on your arm for a minute, which you have extended up from, and he kind of looks around, for a second. He takes in the two strangers and everything. He takes in the two of you and the cave and everything, and he just kind of looks at you, and it's just well, this is a shitty place to be. Why are we here?
I ask myself that all the time.
Great. If you're going to bring me places, the least you could do is bring me somewhere nice.
I try. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry.
It's alright. And he, cat rubs against
food?
you. Yeah, Myth can eat.
Would you like a fish?
Myth will turn and,
Give him
look
one
at
of
you.
The good ones. You're going to give him one of the good ones. You're not going to give him one of those nasty ones that already hit the floor.
No.
His eyes laser focus on that fish. But as he turns his head to talk to Asha, and he's whatever you need to ask me now, because if I get my claws on that fish, anything you want me to do is gone.
Okay. I have 3 books, and I need you to look through them. Real quick to see if you can find
his
any
tail is swishing faster and faster.
Baby, I need you to pay attention. I promise I'll make her give you the good fish. I promise.
He's I'm totally focusing. Absolutely, he's not looking at you at all. He's totally focusing.
Sweet boy. I give his ear the softest tug, right? Hello. Just enough for him to flick it. And it's now I know he's listening. And I need you to
one ear directly forward, the other ear pointed at you.
Exactly. And I'm okay, find any mention of frigid woe in any of these 3 books. And I'm just going to put them on the ground for him to look at, and I'm going to break his eye contact with the fish, and I'm going to set him down and find, please.
He does a big cat stretch, shakes his whole body, and then he pops up onto the first book, which is the Dwendalian Empire book. And he sits there for a second, and he kind of tilts his head from one side to the other, And then he pops over to the next book and dismissing the Dwindling Empire book.
And I think how he dismisses it is to kind of do that cat
Yeah.
scratch.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep, pretty much. So he pops over to the next one, which is the Uthodurn book. He sits there for a second, tilts his head from one side to the next. You see his eyes kind of glow with constellations as his like pupils disappear, and you just see swirling stars and constellations in his eyes instead. And he kind of sits there for a second, pops over to the next book, and kind of like kicks the other one away from him. And he lands on the History of Wildmount book, which is up to the Calamity. So it's a couple hundred years old at this point. And he sits there for a minute. He sits there for a minute longer. And he says, this is the only book that has any mention of a frigid illness. And they don't call it the frigid woe, but there is a brief mention of experimentation for freezing people and ice sculptures.
And I'm kneeling down beside him, and I throw the other 2 books in the book bag without even looking at them anymore. And I go, ask him, what page?
352.
Thank you. And then so, now you may have fish.
He, as soon as, like, you say thank you, he does not even sticking around. He has vanished entirely in a poof of smoke. He appears on Valkaria's shoulder for a very brief second, just enough to dig his claws in to push off of her. Just vanishes again in another poof of smoke. The fish that you were holding is gone. And then he is now, like, 15 feet on the other side of the room, appearing in another puff of smoke with fish. And you will not be getting any further information out of him. I can tell you that.
Until that fish has been thoroughly consumed.
Down to 4 fish.
And it's like, okay, well, enjoy.
You're welcome.
I'm standing back up. And
through all of that, Jaz'Zara is just, like, staring at both of these people, and they're both just staring back at her. And it was just a stare off during all of this. Like, that is the only thing that happened.
Book cat.
Exactly.
So then obviously I've got the book in my hand, and I'm going to page 352.
Okay.
I'm gonna start to read, and I scan down.
Okay, so you can start reading, like, some of that paragraph and stuff like that. While she's doing that, Val, is there anything particular you want to be doing?
No, I'm just watching the cat.
Okay. So Jaz'Zara is going to still keep her distance from them, but she's going to address Hulil, and she's going to say, you stole quite a few things from Pelk's Curiosities. Do you know which of them is causing this illness? And she nods, and Hulil nods. At this, like, she has no reason to want to fight you at this point. Like, she is very ill. Her companion is very ill. And they, at this point, their only goal is really just to survive. So they know starting a fight with you is not something they want to do.
She has more sense than her sister.
Pretty much. She's going to say, there were these 3 blue vials. One of them kind of got lost in the shuffle of everything. But another one, we believe, was cracked. And some of it got out. And we didn't realize that until we were investigating it, and it had kind of gotten a little bit of everywhere. The bag it came in, and pretty much anybody who touched the bag had gotten it at some point. And we have the other vials, along with the other things that we stole. And she gestures over to that stone chest that's over there. It's all in there. It's like is it
unlocked, the chest?
She says, no, but I don't happen to have the key. One of my people had the key.
Can you describe which person had the key?
Kind of looks like a twink on crack.
Ah,
Our friend.
that's a friend.
And she just kind of looks at you like, bathtub? And she's like, I don't want to know.
Twink on crack.
She's like, if you can get into it, you're welcome to it. Whatever else is in there as well.
Asha, did you find a key on Bathtub Tweaker?
No, you guys didn't find any keys.
No? Okay.
Then again, you guys didn't search him either.
That's true. We don't have time to go back and search him now.
And Jaz'Zara's gonna say, we could just open the chest, if we can get the vials, we can make sure we can contain whatever illness this is. And if we can contain it, I don't know, put it in a different chest that Elro can keep safe, maybe bury it, send it out to sea, something.
Fireball.
Jaz'Zara's just gonna look at you and she says, no. And then she's gonna go back to, like, talking to everyone else. And she's like, first of all, it's a potentially magical illness. You don't know what fire would do to it. So, like, let's start with that.
Fire, melt ice.
But she's gonna say, like, if we can get it open, because it is a stone chest, you're not moving this chest. That's very obvious. She's like, but if we can get it open, we could take the illness, the disease, and make sure it doesn't get to anybody else. Everybody who's infected. She's like,
how heavy is this chest? I'm not saying we're gonna lug it out of here, but I do have a pocket of space we can put it in.
What pocket of space do you have?
Didn't you say that comes with the,
Not at the level you're at.
Oh, okay, never mind.
It comes at level 4, I believe.
Damn, okay, never mind.
And I believe the Graunchy gloves are 3 feet by 2 feet. And when you open it, like, it's, like, at, like, chest level, so it opens upward. So, like, it opens from, like, your hips up. So
Okay.
you could technically, if you wanted to, you could get on the ground and try to figure out how to, like, open it in a way that it won't partially submerge into the ground and stuff like that. But typically, if you're going to open it, you just reach out like you're turning a door handle. And you just open a door in space.
Okay.
But yeah, you don't have that quite yet.
Damn.
So I assume one day in the future you will use it as a fish freezer, but not at this time. But it is, the stone chest is about 500 pounds.
Okay. Can I try and pick it? Or at least, who's better at the lock picking? I think Jazz would be, wouldn't you?
Let's see. It's sleight of hand in Thieves' Tools. None of you are technically great, but Jaz'Zara is the one who has Thieves' Tools. So, she has the ability to use Thieves' Tools for, like, lockpicking and stuff like that. However, I do believe the Graunchy Gloves of Mischief gave you proficiency in sleight of hand and lockpicking. So, let me...
Oh, the joy you just gave her.
I know, it's one of the reasons I gave her what I did. Let me double check.
Notice that your gift was mischief. My gift was knowledge.
Let's see. These...
Say anything about our actual personalities? Not at all.
Can't say I don't know ya.
Nope.
Yeah, you gain a proficiency in sleight of hand, so you do now have a proficiency in sleight of hand.
I have to wear these gloves to have the proficiency,
yes.
right?
Yeah, you have to be wearing the Graunchy gloves.
Yep, so Val is just going to slip on her blue fuzzy gloves and get to work on this stone chest.
So, before you do that, just so you know, that makes your sleight of hand a +3. Just so you're aware. You will have to borrow Jaz'Zara's Thieves' Tools, because you don't have your own, but if you want to pick any locks, you can just ask to borrow them from her. So, you do have a proficiency in sleight of hand now. Before you approach, as you, like, go to walk up to this chest, give me a perception check, please. And Asha can give me one as well.
Have I finished reading the book?
17.
17, okay. Yeah, so we'll skip over to Asha just real quick. You're skimming through this paragraph. It talks briefly about some of the experiments that are happening at Aor. It's slightly written in, like, old common, so, like, a little bit like reading Shakespeare. So, like, it's just kind of, like, takes you that second of, like,
Alright.
seriously, if just, like, the flourishes in the language are just, like, oi. But, so you're reading through it. So you're reading through it, and it talks about some of these experiments that had happened. Some of them talk about this experimentation that was used, and there was this blue powder, and it started to freeze people and turn them into blocks of ice. And it briefly talks about how one woman was banned from the city because she created an ice sculpture out of the people that she experimented on. Like, she created an ice sculpture garden, and had all of these frozen people like spread throughout her garden.
That reminds me of something in the V.E. Schwab series that I read.
No, see, my first thing is Chronicles of Narnia. In the
yeah.
garden and they're all frozen.
See, they kind of essentially have something like that in the White London in that series. Because the Dane twins that have taken over White London, they basically turned everyone that they don't like into stone in their front yard.
Yeah.
Well, why would you want to look at them in your front yard? I would put them somewhere I couldn't see them.
That's fair. That's very fair.
They're sadistic.
That's what I would do.
Like, look at what I did.
I mean, I remember them. They were enough in the book of the series. I read enough, but blue powder turned people to ice. Does the woman who was, did you say banned?
Yes.
Banned. What was her name? Does it say her name, or is she a who we do not talk about kind of character?
Her name looks like it was like it's been omitted purposefully, but very in small handwriting on the bottom. You can make out old ink, and there is a name. And let me write that down real quick. The name Tomil Tolin. So Tomil. Tolin.
Tolin. Okay. At least didn't have to learn a lot of letters to spell that name when they were a child.
Fair. Very fair. But I imagine for a child that was probably really a pain because you'd get it like mixed up a lot.
Oh, the little tongue twister?
Yeah. So, yes. And on that note, we'll switch back over to... it does not mention a cure of any kind. It just mentions that her experiments were stopped and that... but it is believed that it was taken over possibly by somebody else, and you're not really sure who, because it starts to then ramble about the legal repercussions of like what happened to her and like her banning from the city and like all this stuff. You could read further into it to see if you could figure out, you know, like who this person was that might have taken it over and all that. But you could read that further if you'd like to. Either
okay,
now or
I'll kind of keep scanning as the lock picking ensues.
That's fair. The
anxiously looking over the top of the book.
Yeah.
Keeping an eye on Val.
Looking out for any stray fish. Checking on Myth in the corner there.
Now, is Myth going to stay in?
Myth will be a cat until you make him not a cat.
Okay, until you.
But he does his like way to sleep. Yeah, he does require being back in the form of the bracelet for at least 8 hours every 24 hours.
Okay.
So like a long rest, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
White.
he gets sleepy.
Don't like it.
I don't like it.
The only other word, Asha, as you're skimming through there, is it talks of a laboratory and a person. It talks about this laboratory and it talks about the person using the same word. And so you're not really sure whether that's like if they're just both this person named the laboratory after themselves or if that's just the name of the person, vice versa. But it's the word Saul's Vault. So SALSVAULT. And it uses it interchangeably like it's the place, like it's a place and a person. So you're not really sure what's going on there. But you make a little note of that as you're looking. Now, Valkaria, you rolled a 17 on your perception check. So you ask Jaz'Zara, I'm assuming, for her lockpicking kit, which she offers to you. And but she, as you approach, you'll have to have your back to these people. So she's going to stand on the other side of you to like stand between you and them. Yeah. And you, as you approach it, you kind of like get down and you're like looking at it. It's beautiful, like carving stonework. It's very detailed. Like it looks like there's a dragon perched on top of it with like its wings and claws like wrapped around it. So like it's very beautiful and detailed. There's like really fine scale work and stuff like that. At the very top of the chest is this really ornate, large dragon head, and as you kneel down to look at it, because the lock is like in the center where the claws come together, like the claws are kind of like holding it, like almost making a circle, and like the lock is right in the center. But as you kneel down to like look at it, it puts you more at level with like the face of this dragon. And as you're staring at it, you can see like its open mouth, and in and around like the teeth area and along like where the tongue is very, very detailed, very realistically carved, is faint lines of blue powder.
Ooh.
And you just learned that the frozen sick is blue powder.
Well,
I'll ask this question for her. Do the graunchy gloves work like other, like where it's not gonna like pass to her, or they, you know,
like it'll work as a barrier between me and.
Well, as you look at the thing, it's in the mouth of the dragon, and it's not in the lock itself. Mm-hmm. But as you're looking at it, and you rolled really well, you get the idea that if you like fuck up, this like chest is mechanized to blow something through there,
through the mouth,
and it would hit you in the face with this blue powder.
Huh.
Now you can roll. I can have you roll an investigation check without touching the lock if you want to try and figure out about the lock. See if you can learn about it, and maybe like the mechanism that is controlling this dragon.
My inquisitive nature says yes to that.
So go ahead and roll me an investigation check, please.
21.
Whoo, very good. So you don't touch it. You're careful not to touch it. And do you tell the other two what you see?
Oh yeah, I'm basically talking out loud as I'm working on this stuff. Just there's blue powder in the mouth here. Don't worry, Asha. I'm not gonna touch it.
The second you say that, like Jaz'Zara like whips around, and like she kind of like pulls you back from it a little bit, and like she kind of like looks at it with you, and like you point out like what you see and everything like that, and like you still want to open it, so Jaz'Zara is gonna take her cloak and she's gonna like fold it over a bunch of times, and she's gonna tell you to like cover your mouth with it. Mm-hmm. So as you get closer to it, it you know, like there's less chance of you breathing it in. Yeah.
I have a question that might be kind of dumb.
Go for it.
Maybe it'll be like, you know, using an anvil to do this. But could I use something like Shield of Faith to protect her? Like, if I would that, or is that like overkill, or would it?
It's not a physical shield that comes up around her. Like air and things like that still pass through it. Mm-hmm. It makes her harder to hit because like the shimmer, because yours we talked about in the last episode looks like an aurora borealis that goes around. It makes her harder to like see, which makes it harder for people to like hit her. But it doesn't make it so that like there's any kind of physical like barrier.
Okay. Just thought I'd try.
Sure.
Something.
Yeah. No. It's a good idea.
Appreciate it.
It's always good to like try out your spells in different ways. Like that's always a good thing to try. I don't believe any of you have a spell that would do anything against that. Not really.
I mean, I have a physical shield that I guess I could stick in front of her, but then she'd be really hard pressed to work.
Couldn't see through your shield.
So, you, Val, you're very careful not to touch it. You have your little graunchy gloves on. And you kind of like look around at the mechanisms. You look behind the chest and you can see that the scales that go down like the back of the dragon work as part of the gears for this. And you're certain there's some kind of mechanism in it that sucks air in and would push it out through the mouth of this dragon. So I'm going to have you roll me 2 sleight of hand checks. The first one is to disable the dragon, like the mechanisms on the back of the dragon. So go ahead and roll me one.
You better roll better than you ever have before.
17.
17. Okay. So you get back there and you're focusing on the details of how, because you notice it's all made out of stone, but as you push on some of it moves and some of it doesn't. So you take a moment to like study it. You lived in a city with the silent hammers, and they're dwarves. You know, they have fine stone craftsmen. And then you also had the crystal catchers who were like tinkerers, and like they made really weird contraptions and stuff like that. And this looks like an unholy combination of the two. And like, so you take some time and you adjust the scales, and you like notice that there's some like little latches and stuff like that like some of the scales like pull out a little, and you slowly disable the mechanism. It takes you a couple of minutes, and the whole time you're doing this, Hulil and her companion are laser focused staring at you, and it's a little unnerving, that fact that they're staring at you this way, and you are focused on this, but Asha and Jaz'Zara are not. So Asha, roll me an insight check, please. Hulil wants whatever's in that chest. And you get the impression that maybe one of the reasons she didn't leave is she can't get into that chest. She told you she didn't have the key, but it's also booby-trapped, so she wasn't really willing to trigger it to make it worse. Also occurs to you that maybe her illness came from triggering it in the first place. You get the deep impression that she wants whatever is in there, and you guys, if you open it, that's a great way to get it. You don't necessarily know if she's going to try and fight you for it, but there's a severe intensity to her look. And as you guys are fiddling with this, her hand is on this 5-headed dragon symbol that hangs around her neck.
Okay. Well, I'm still focused on this.
And
But I'm gonna...
Go ahead.
Val's gonna just kind of pretend like she hit a snag because her tiefling senses are going, something is a little off and I feel eyes on me. I feel like I'm being watched. So, like, Val's gonna pretend like she hit a snag, but she's gonna send a message to both of you.
Okay.
Be like, is it me? Or is Whoville really intent on what I'm about to find in here?
And, Asha, you can go ahead and respond if you'd like.
I was gonna barely perceptible nod, and I'm going to, I've been holding the book. I'm, obviously got what I needed out of it, so I'm gonna shove it in my bag, and I'm gonna angle my body in such a way that my non-dominant hand is towards Lil and Val, but I am starting to reach for my dagger on my right-hand side.
Okay.
So I'm prepared.
Do you say anything to Val or Jaz'Zara through the message?
I'm gonna go with just like a silent,
It's a silent nod.
just a quick.
Okay.
Nod.
And Jaz'Zara, who kind of like casually steps, not even casually, she's just been staring at Halil and her companion the whole time. And she's standing between Val and these people. And she's just been staring at her. And Jaz'Zara will answer you, and she says, she really seems to want whatever's in there. I think whatever is in there is going to be very important to us. And it's probably something they shouldn't have in the long run.
Now, can my mage hand somehow... Because I can't do it now because she's holding on to it. But can my mage hand grab the necklace that Hulil is holding on to? If she ever lets it go?
It
and rip it off?
Around her neck with a chain, so you couldn't pull that off. It looks like, and the grip she has on it, and the thick chain that she's wearing it on, and the painted mural that matches it, and there's paint everywhere and stuff like that. She has dragon scale tattoos tattooed on her face. You get the feeling that if you tried to take whatever this is from her, she will fight you to the death for it.
It's a good thing she's half frozen.
And so Jaz'Zara is gonna step forward and try and distract them a little bit, and she's gonna be like, is there anything else we need to know about what's in here, and anything we can do to expedite your trip out of here? Because we would really appreciate it if you left and didn't come back. And the companion of Hulil is gonna step forward, and he says, we don't want anything from you. We just need enough money to leave. And Jaz'Zara's going to kind of narrow her eyes a little bit. And she's like, you're telling me that being a bandit and stealing a bunch of stuff didn't earn you enough money to get the hell out of here? You robbed a store. Twice, for that matter. Why exactly are you still here? And they both kind of share a very brief look, but neither of them say anything. And Hulil looks over to her companion, and she says, Raegrin. His name is Raegrin. But, yeah, Raegrin. And she says, Raegrin, and she's like, Raegrin and I are too ill to move on our own. We were waiting for our companions to get back with enough money for us to perhaps buy carts to get out of here in a more stable manner. And she kind of thumps her leg on the floor. She says, I'm clearly not exactly fit to be riding any horses, now am I? And Jaz'Zara's like, well, it's good to see you're just as pleasant as your sister.
Val's gonna chime in, not looking up from what she's working on, just be like, then how come you're so interested? Like, oh, no, sorry, no. She's gonna ask, be really interesting if there was just a lot of coin in this very intricately designed chest that you are waiting for, wouldn't it?
And she just gives you like this very nasty smile.
Still not looking at her.
At that point, if you would like to try and open the chest, you have officially and successfully disabled it.
Cool.
And you could try and open it if you'd like, and you can give me another sleight of hand check.
22.
22. Ooh. Where have
Okay,
these
good
rolls
rolls,
been all your life? Jesus. So you reach down and you've got your little graunchy blue gloves and you've got these thieves' tools, and it takes you just a second. Like, you just kind of like pick the lock and you stick the little tools in there, and then you hear this very satisfying click, and the jaw of the dragon closes, and it like in a very like rumbling of stone, and it closes together, and the claws that are holding this lock part, and a seam of where this stone chest is going to open like appears, and you have unlocked the chest.
All right. I'm gonna send another message to these two and be
Okay.
like, guys, I just unlocked it, because I'm guessing no one else heard the click but me.
Yeah, it's not a loud click.
Yeah, so even though like Hulil and Ragran are watching, they haven't noticed, because I'm still like, I'm guessing behind it, or am I in front of it now?
You would be in front of it. You have to be in front of it to unlock
Okay, so
it.
they haven't seen or heard anything, and I'm sending a message to to Jazz and Asha going, guys, I opened it, and either you pin them down or something, because I really don't want them coming at me whenever I open and see whatever's in this.
And Jaz'Zara, she doesn't say anything, but she kind of focuses on Halil, and she says, if there's money in here, if you had it, would you be able to leave? And I'm not really interested in fighting with you. If you guys could leave and take your sister and any other bandits you have around and just get out of the city and don't come back, I'm willing to let you go. Halil and her companion kind of like share a look. And there's a frustrated look on Hulil's face, but there's also a bit of a defeated look on Hulil's face, because at this point she's weighing whatever it is that she wants versus what she needs, and what she needs is a healer.
Survival, yeah.
Yeah, and to survive and to get the fuck out of here, because there is no healer in this town that can heal this. She will have to go somewhere else, and it is quite a distance to wherever like the next town would be. And so she knows that time is really just pushing against her at this point. And she says, we just need enough coin to leave. We couldn't sell some of the things to any of the merchants in town earlier. And all of the other coin is trapped in there, and only one person had the key, and he hasn't come back. If you can give us the things of monetary value, at least a couple 100 gold worth would be good. We could use it to purchase, or at least trade, for carts to leave. And she looks like it really pains her to say that. Like, to give up whatever is in there.
Must be desperate. Alright.
Death is usually something to be
Yep.
desperate over.
Yep.
Well,
So-
I don't have 100 gold.
Well, it maybe you do in the chest. But Asha's gonna move right up behind Val. So, and she's ready. She's ready for this.
Okay. And
get
Valkaria,
open.
do you open it?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1, and telepathically,
Okay.
and be like, boom.
And you
So-
use a lot. It takes a lot of
Yeah.
your energy to like push this chest open, because it is solid stone. And you like with just a thunderous noise, like the lid moves back, and you open the chest. And inside, you see quite a few of the stolen goods that were in there before. You see a gilded scroll case, and you notice on it it has a very intricate, beautifully carved in ivory cosmological map of the multiverse. And that, for the record, is worth 15 gold pieces. They're,
In ivory.
yeah. And, like, it's got gold, like, on the ends of it.
Alright.
There is also a jade statue of a storm giant.
Is this the same jade statue we were missing?
Yep.
Okay.
That is worth 25 gold
You
pieces.
said storm giant?
Yes.
20 gold. 25, sorry.
There is a quiver of arrows. So there's a jasper ring set in there. There's
Can I
also...
ask an inane question?
Sure.
How would we, just as we were taking things out of the thing, know the value of something? Or is that just a meta...
That's kind of a meta thing. Like, you can gauge, like, if you look at, say, like, when you go to the store, you can gauge, like, this should be in this price range of something.
Okay.
So you can get in your head, like, you know, this is how much this is. Now, technically, your characters wouldn't know how much it's worth until you took it to a store and you tried to sell it. And somebody would be like, yeah, I'll give you, like, 40 gold for this. Or I'll give you, like, 30 gold for this. I give you the price points now because your characters would have a general idea of how much it's worth, if not, like, an exact. There might be a couple things you run into, like, here and there that you just have no, like, idea what this is or what it's for or what it's worth. But a lot of, like, stones and gems and stuff like that you guys would know because you're from the Underdark and there's just a lot of that there. So you would have a general concept of like the worth of some of that.
Okay.
Okay,
and-
because I was kind of just wondering, like, in the Underdark, things might be, and I know the gold is the same.
Yeah.
I know we've kind of done that, but like the inherent value
Yeah.
of things is a little
The
between cultures, you know. That
yeah.
was more my.
The gems and things like that are not worth as much in the Underdark because, like, crystals and things like that are very prevalent there. So, like, a crystal is like a dime a dozen in the Underdark, but it would be worth a lot more up here on the surface where they don't have an abundance of them. Especially
And white
one that
girls
you...
have assigned value to them.
Yeah. And so, like, they're worth more on the surface than they are in the Underdark, but I also give them to you because your characters have, like, a general sense of, like, how much something should cost, but also that way when you go to a merchant or something later, and if you want to sell it, you guys will know of, like, a general estimate. Like, if I tell you it's worth 40 gold now, and the merchant tries to say, well, I'll give you 15 gold for it, you know you're getting ripped off. So.
Okay.
So, and also because I don't intend to have a list of literally everything in its monetary value. So, like, if you guys go look in the future and be like, well, I want to sell this, and then you can know how much it's worth and like a general idea. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, yeah, no problem. So you guys will learn like a little bit, like your characters will learn a little bit about the economy and like how the differences between what something's worth there. Like if you try to sell like a crystal, you'll be surprised by how much it goes for here, that you have on you. And as you know, like it in the Underdark, it might have been like a couple silver, but here it might be like 2 gold instead or something like that. So. So there's little discrepancies in the economy, but for the most part, and for like the ease of the process, I don't change it like a whole lot unless it's really specific stuff like that. So, because like arrows, daggers, things like that, that's all about the same. So, base equipment and stuff like that. You also find about a handful of there's a bag and it's got about a handful of coins in it. There's probably about 50 gold in it. And there's also a couple of, like, precious gems scattered here and there. There's a secondary bag, which has a lot of, like, copper and silver and, like, a couple of gold pieces in it here and there. And Jaz'Zara will take the bag full of more money in it. Well, she'll take it and she'll say to Hulil, she's like, if I give you this, can you use it to leave?
If we beat it.
Right? Will you get out?
And Hulil looks at her, and she's not stopped focusing on this chest. The bag of money is not something she is looking at. And
now, can she see what's in it, or is Val still sitting in front of it?
The chest is large enough that your whole body does not cover this chest. Like, she can see the edges of it.
Okay.
And Val, as you're, like, shifting things and, like, you're taking count of all the stuff that's in there, like, as you move stuff, there's a cloth over the bottom that can be moved.
Can Hulil see said cloth?
No. She's sitting on the other side of the room for you, so
But
she
I
can't
get the
see
feeling
into
she knows
what's in it.
Okay.
Thought I was gonna sneeze and I did not.
Have we emptied out the chest at this point?
There's
Except
a
for
cloth
the
covering
cover.
something.
No, besides that.
Yeah, you've taken the other
Okay.
things out of it, and she has not stopped looking at the chest.
Well.
And I'm gonna first, before Val uncovers whatever it is, not that I don't think she's completely aware of the fact that this is probably what everyone's looking for. I'm gonna just give her a little soft, delicate nudge with my toe as a warning, like we're looking.
Everyone's looking. And Val, now, Val can reopen this chest again because she knows how to do it, right?
Well, it doesn't lock. Now, you've unlocked it. If you close it, it'll stay unlocked.
Oh.
So it's not an automatic lock.
You were gonna slam it shut and be like...
I was gonna close it and be like, that's it. Now...
Show's over, folks.
Well, no. I'm thinking, can I use my thaumaturgy to pretend like it's shut?
You would have to move the stone top of it and, like, close it.
That's fine. Like, can I, like, close it and then use my
like
thaumaturgy and make it sound like it's locked?
I'm gonna do a intelligence check for Hulil, because it is her chest, so she would know whether or not it automatically locks or not. So let me roll for her. And she does get advantage because it is her chest.
Boo.
She gets a 15. You think that she would probably understand that, like it doesn't automatically lock.
Damn.
Now the question is, are you going to move the cloth?
I'm gonna have to, because that's what everyone's here to know about.
It's up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna see what's underneath.
So you pull this, what you realize is black silk, and you pull it back. And when you pull it back, sitting in there is a large mask. It is a half mask that looks like it stops just below where the eyes are. And it's probably about 1.5 to 2 feet wide, that extends like past the face. It is made of green scales, and it is in a depiction of a dragon's face from like the snout up. There's like a snout to it, but it doesn't extend too far off of the mask, like 4 or 5 inches. And coming off of the side is almost like these horned, you know how like a triceratops has like that crown thing around its head, kind of like that, but it comes out into like long spikes instead.
Okay. And
they're made entirely of green scale. And you look at this mask, and it's beautiful, it's detailed, the scales look like real scales, and it sets as a half mask, so it doesn't cover the bottom part of your face, but there's an eye set where it looks like there should be like dragon eyes there, but there aren't for somebody to look through. And it's the way like the spikes on it like curve and everything, it looks so realistic and natural. It's hard not to stare at it because it's just probably one of the most beautiful pieces of craftsmanship you have ever seen. Roll me an Arcana check.
I do +4. 23.
This is one of the most dangerous magical things you've ever seen in your life.
Oh.
It is powerful, and you are aware of like deep magic and ancient magics, and like you live in a city that's full of like wondrous and powerful magics. You live in a city that has a device that protects it, and like you've been surrounded in magic your whole life. Your father has like this ancient like magic as well. And your friends have different types of magic. Asha has this bright, like, holy energy that shines like moonlight. Jaz'Zara's magic is, like, deep, and it reminds you of, like, the shadows of the caves in the Underdark. Your own magic, like, twists and like, pulls, like, smoke and shadow. And, like, your father's magic is very, like, bright and, like, fiery, and, because he's very, like, fire-based and stuff like that. This is something else. This magic, the way like it just brushes against your senses, tells you this is dangerous. It would be like somebody if you pet a cat in the fur in the wrong direction. It just grates against you. Like somebody rubs sandpaper across your senses. Like it, you look at it and you realize this is an extraordinary, powerful artifact. You don't know what it does, but you come to this understanding in this moment. This is what Hulil has not left for. And it's in the shape of this dragon. And she's wearing a dragon, like, amulet. There's a dragon mural on the wall. She's got all these tattoos. Whatever this is of extreme value to her as a person. And whatever, like, dragony thing she has going on.
So I'm gonna just Val is going to very subtly just bristle, and no one will notice other than Asha and Jazz because they're so attuned to her like minuscule stuff.
Yeah.
So it's something, you know, Val isn't easily surprised.
Yeah.
So she kind of ruffles a bit, and she's gonna she's gonna cover it up again with the silk, with the black silk, close the stone, and as she stands up, after she closes it, she's just gonna slowly turn her head, only her head, towards Hulil and be like, explain, now.
She gets this look that crosses her face of almost like evil knowledge. And she just stares at you because she understands that you have some comprehension of
what it is,
depth of strength in this piece. And she says, one day we will use it, and the others, and we will summon him. And she leans back against this dragon mural, and she says, we will summon the gate, and we will bring her here. She will come, and she will start Xandria anew, under her control, and we will all answer to Tiamat. That is but a piece in the puzzle that is already in place. Soon you will all understand the might of the dragon. And she leans forward a little. She's like, give that to me, and we will leave.
Like hell I'm gonna give this to you.
And Jaz'Zara, and Asha, you don't know, like, what is in the box. But Jaz'Zara kind of, like, straightens and, like, stands between, you know, like, Asha and Valkaria and these two other people. And she's like, what is that? And she'll look kind of like you, Val. Like, she kind of, like, tilts her head towards you, Val. Like, so you know she's talking to you, but she doesn't stop looking at these other people. And she's like, what is that? What's going on?
There is a giant half mask with green scales. Like dragon scales. It looks almost real. But, Jazz, it feels wrong. Like, it doesn't feel right.
Wrong. Like evil wrong?
Just destructive wrong. Like, I feel like even in the most well-intentioned hands, this would just cause devastation.
And Jaz'Zara kind of straightens and she turns, she faces, like, these people, and she's like, well, I guess we know you're not leaving with that.
Or you're not leaving at all.
And, like, Hulil kind of gets this angered look on her face. And Jaz'Zara will step forward and she says, you have a choice. You can leave. We'll give you this money. You can leave, take it, go fetch your sister, and anybody else left in the city. And you can leave and just never come back, and you might actually make it to somewhere that can heal you, or you might die trying. Or you'll die for sure, here, in this cave. Either way, you're not getting what's in this chest. If she says it's evil, it's evil. If she says you're not having it because it's some deep, dark, horrific power, you're not gonna get it. Do yourselves a favor. Leave. While you still have the chance. She's going to roll a persuasion check.
At least if you actually leave this cave, you have a shot of surviving.
And that is a natural 20 for Jaz'Zara.
Oh boy. Okay.
And,
because you can tell that, like, Val is pissed.
yeah.
Val is serious, and that is the first indication that's something.
Yeah, well, Val is not pissed, she's serious. You're right. When Val gets serious, you know something's up.
And that's, like, the reason Jaz'Zara is just like, this is over. Like, that we're putting an end to whatever this is. If she's serious that you aren't walking out of here with this, then that's it. That's just, this is over. And, so she's gonna, like, she stands, like, straight, and so do you, and, Asha, you kind of all just, like, take a hard stance, and Hulil reads this, and she's aware that in this moment she's being given an ultimatum that she needs to leave with her life now, and an opportunity for survival, or she's not leaving this cave. And she looks really frustrated and really, really angry at all of you, but she says something to Raygren in a language none of you understand, and he looks really surprised. And she, like, they kind of, like, bicker back and forth for a moment, but she just, like, harshly just cuts him off. And she gestures at him to come over, and he walks over to her, and he's going to gather, like, their bags, and he's going to help her up. And Hulil very shakily stands, and she says, give us the money, and we'll leave. And she looks like she's really reluctantly saying that, but she has decided that she will leave if given this opportunity, because it is the only opportunity she has.
Clearly you have more sense than your sister.
Is my sister still alive?
For now.
Then I suppose we should go get her and any other funds she may have, and we will leave the city together.
Oh, fun fact, she's got 2 really big wolves, so don't startle her.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
And they very slowly begin to, like, limp past you, and you hear, like, the toad, like, come up, and, like, it, and you hear them, like, shuffle onto the toad, and, like, the sound of the water as it, like, ripples away as the toad, like, takes them away.
Oh man, I should have told the toad to eat them.
You don't want to give the toad...
You know how well it went that last time.
And you don't want to give the toad an upset stomach. We like the toad.
That's fair.
It was a nice toad. And Jaz'Zara's going to turn, and she's going to look at Valkaria, and she's like, what the hell is in there?
Girl, I don't know.
And Jaz'Zara's going to open it, because she wants to see it. So, Asha, you going to look at it, too?
Yep.
Yeah.
I got
so
it now.
You guys, like, look at it, and, like, Val, you show them this mask and everything, and, like,
I'll pull the black silk back, because I'm still wearing the garage glove, so at least I have some extra form of protection against whatever the hell this is.
Yeah. Jaz'Zara just kind of looks at it, and, both, Jaz'Zara, like, understands, like, deep magic. Her family is all about, like, spell crafting and, like, all this stuff. So she understands, like, deep magic, too. And, like, as she stares at it. And Asha, it, like, hits your senses a little differently. Because, like, you have, like, this radiant and holy magic and everything like that. And every fiber of your being is telling you, this evil. This is so fucking evil. This is the most evil thing
Bad juju.
you have ever come across. And, like, it really grates on all of you. Just... to look at it and see it, and Jaz'Zara says, we can't leave this here. We cannot leave this here for these people. Like, everyone in that town knows this cave exists. All you have to do is feed that frog a fish, and they'll take you right to it. Like, we cannot leave something this ancient and evil and dark here for any random curious kid to find.
How are we going to carry it, though? I want no part of touching it physically.
We can put it in the quiver.
Oh,
We have the quiver. We should probably put it in the silk pillowcase that I found and put that in the quiver.
We could do that.
Leave it wrapped in the silk it's currently in.
Yeah,
I'll wrap it, put it in the quiver.
Okay. And so you guys, Val, are you the one who's going to, like,
yeah,
wrap
I
it
got
up
the
and
gloves on. I'm gonna touch it, pick it up
Right.
and wrap
so
it.
So you take the silk that was thrown over it in the beginning to begin with, and, like, you have your gloves on, and you don't touch it, like, you wrap it up and everything like that, and you put it in this pillowcase, and Jaz'Zara opens up one of these interdimensional little pockets in her quiver, and you guys, like, put it in there and zip it up, and you now have this ancient evil green dragon mask.
All right.
So does that mean we go back to Palebank at this point?
Well, you guys have the, there's the powder that's in, like, the dragon mouth, and then there's the other vial. You guys did find the last remaining blue vial.
The last blue one.
And, You guys, like, when you were, like, going through this, you didn't touch the blue vial, you just, like, left it where it's, like, leaning against the side. And Jaz'Zara says, well, we can wrap this up in something else, put it in a different pocket, and take this back, and Elro can perhaps find a way to dispose of it without risking exposure to anyone else.
Yeah.
Or study it.
Well, that's true. At the very least, we could take it back and give it to Elro, and he could decide what to do with it, since it's his people that are getting infected. And at the very least, we found the source of the infection.
What are we gonna do about if anything, are we gonna do about the loose powder in the lock?
Well,
I don't know if it'll work, but I can cast Burning Hands at this stone and see if it'll just incinerate the powder.
How about we clear the space as much as possible before you do that?
Jaz'Zara says, I think that's not a terrible idea. And she says, but there's another thing. If we can move this lid into this fire, we could just burn the whole thing that way.
No, that too.
We could just put it in the bonfire, and then you could light it from a distance. Like, we could put the fire out, put the stone thing in there, and you could light it from a distance. Even with, we could use some of this material, light it on fire that way. You could just cast Burning Hands at a distance.
Works for me.
Okay.
How are we gonna get it there, though? Pull it with rope?
Tip it.
We could probably, between the three of you, I would let you do a strength check to move, because the top of the top part of the lid that comes off, and it's much lighter than the rest of it, because the lid portion
And
is
it's
very
not on
high
a
up in the
joint,
chest.
right?
Yeah, it's just set.
Okay.
So, everybody can roll me a strength check to see if you guys can move this.
15.
12.
Jaz'Zara also got a 15. It takes you guys like a hot minute, and you guys put out the fire, because as soon as you don't want it to like burn immediately, because you want to get out of the blast of the incineration and everything like that. So you guys die down the fire. You can use thaumaturgy for that, actually, to like help put out the fire, or at least lower it so it's not entirely out, but it's just like some embers, so it's easier to start back up. And you guys take your time. You're very careful about picking it up and like slowly moving it over
Away.
like the couple of feet. It's not super far. It was probably like 10 feet from like where the chest was to the fire.
10 feet too many for something so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you guys like just let it down, and it just goes thunk really hard, and you're just like like, you guys have fought your way through elves and dwarves and like toads and all that, but that is probably the hardest thing you've done. And you guys like set it in there. Jaz'Zara's kind of like propping some logs up like around like the face of it, maybe like putting a log like in the teeth of the dragon and everything like that. And all of you kind of like scoot back to the entrance. You can use a fish to like summon the toad to come back to you guys, and it'll, you know, and it does. It came back, and you guys like stand like right next to it, and then Val, you can use Burning Hands, like catch the wood on fire. And
just as a parting goodbye, just kind of flick Burning Hands towards it.
yeah, and then like Jaz'Zara and Asha are already on the toad, and then you do that and just immediately jump on the toad, and it starts to sail away. So you guys minimize your risk of exposure like as much as humanly possible. So you do that, you sail back. It's getting a little late at this point. You guys might want to spend like the night in the cave, or you can walk through the night and get to Pale Bank at probably like 2 in the morning, because you've spent quite a bit of time here, because it took you half a day to get here, and you had all this go on, so now it's probably early evening. So you can choose to spend the night in the cave, which now you know everything that's in it, like, and Jaz'Zara does like a little like perimeter check to make sure like Hulil and her companion had left, and they did. But it's your choice to walk through the night back to the village, or to stay here for the evening.
How dangerous of a walk is it to get back? Because I don't know if I want to sleep in a open cavern where anybody can walk in.
You know, there's the bed thing, so it does narrow down. So
True.
You guys would know that walking at night, like Jaz'Zara, when you guys had first gotten out of the Underdark, wouldn't let you walk at night. Like,
Okay.
as soon as it started to get dark, you guys took shelter and everything. You also remember how cold it was once the sun set. Like, it's cold, but once that sun sets, it was really fucking cold. And then you guys had bunked in, like, between trees and stuff like that to cut down on the wind and everything. But you think that at the very least, the cold would be really terrible, but not to mention anything else that's out there. You wouldn't really have trouble seeing, so you could see just fine. But it's the unknown of the night predators that might be out there.
Alright, well, that's just kind of...
I'm comfortable staying in the cave.
Yeah, let's call it a night by the holes and the fire.
So you guys, you go and you take a little, do you want to do it like where the bedrolls were? So you're like further into the cave?
Yeah, and then there's a fire around there, right? So we can stay warm.
Alright, so you guys like light the fire and everything there, and you get it going, and you spend the rest of the evening like inventorying the things that you got, comparing it to the list of the things that that Ergon had sold, and you realize you found everything and everything like that. Yeah, is there anything you'd like to do, like any way you'd like to spend your evening in this cave?
Yes, I'd kind of like to look into some of these things. I mean, just see if there's anything beyond the obvious.
Sure.
About them.
Sure.
Is there anything inside the scroll case, or is it just this case?
You really just look at the beautiful intricacies of this, and it looks like it depicts, for the scroll case, like traveling from one like plane of existence like to the next, and like you see what looks kind of like Exandria, like in like at the bottom, and then what looks like this really lively, like insane looking forest comes after that, and then there's like all these swirls on the next part of it that all look like it almost depicts like smoke and shadow, and then from there's like a bunch of constellations like carved into the top, and it looks like there's like floating rocks and stuff like that. It's beautiful, and it is empty, but it is probably one of the most beautiful pieces of craftsmanship you've seen in a very long time.
All right, well, Val is gonna sit down and kind of tune into her crystal again.
Okay.
And Asha's had about a day. So she's just gonna curl up on one of the bed rolls with Myth and just pet to lower the blood pressure.
That's fair.
Now, would, like, Val had a thought. If she takes her crystal, the Hallows Eve, and brings it anywhere near this dragon mask to see if it would have a reaction.
Sure, you can. You can ask Jazz to bring the mask back out, and you guys very carefully like set it back out and everything like that. And you hold your crystal and like you focus on it for a moment, and as you hold it out, there's a pulse of like the magic as you focus on it, and you really connect with your crystal, and you can feel like its magic like connecting with you and your own like personal magic. And as you focus that combined energy on this mask, it really gives you a sense of when you had first like focused on the crystal, you had been taken to what you think might have been another plane of existence, to the space that you'd never seen, and that feeling of a foreign place also is kind of present at the edges of this mask. Like it is somehow also connected to somewhere else. Maybe not the same place, but to somewhere else. It doesn't give you the feeling that your crystal and this mask are from like the same plane of existence, but it does give you that same like foreign, otherworldly sense.
Okay.
And which would make sense to you overall based on what Hulil said of summoning Tiamat.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Beyond that, you guys, in the other little bag had a handful of gold. You had 12 gold and a spattering of silver and copper as well. So one of you can write that down if you'd like.
I got it.
Asha, you can write down 34 silver.
Okay.
And then I'll have Jaz'Zara take the copper. Jaz'Zara has 45 copper now. Cool. So yeah, you guys have some of this other stuff. You look at the jade statue, if you'd like, of the storm giant. It has carved along the bottom these words in a language you don't understand, but it looks like it probably is the title or the name of whatever person this is a statue of. but it is not none of you speak giant, so it's not a language you understand. However, if in the future, Myth might learn giant. He might be able to read it for you.
Make a note of that.
And
Myth reminds me of Bob the Skull.
I was hoping for a little more Mr. Kindly.
Mr. Kindly, yeah.
Jaz'Zara, however, the arrows are +1 arrows, so she's going to just kind of add those to her own quiver.
Right.
She's like, these will
why
be
not?
helpful. And she's like, this will be something. I'm gonna take those. Those are mine now.
Fair.
As you should.
And the ring is the silver ring it's like a double ring, like the way a woman might wear like her wedding band and her engagement ring, like in a way that they're like connected. They're clearly made to be like a set and worn together. So there's no like particular markings or anything like that on them, but they are very beautiful. They look old and a little tarnished, but they are still quite pretty.
Worth 50 gold.
Yeah. It's a very large jasper stone that sits on these rings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Val is toying with the idea of wearing it.
Yeah, Jaz'Zara will toss it to her. It's just like, I don't want it. I don't know if Asha does, but I'm going to hang on to it. I don't really think...
Fight her for it.
I'm not going to fight her for it. Okay, well, Val's got new accessories.
So here's the question for you guys, and Jaz'Zara's asking this of both of you. Do we mention to Elro that we found these other things, or do we just stash them in our bags and just mention we found the illness?
I think the illness is of higher priority.
What he doesn't know won't hurt him. Plus, if we tell him we found nothing, and just in case someone comes around asking questions, he won't be implicated. Kind of keep him safe.
Yeah.
And Jaz'Zara just kind of smirks. She's just like, I'm glad we're all on the same page.
Cool.
And because she looks at like the ring and like the statue and everything like that, and she's like, we are in a different world than we know. We are broke. We have no resources, and we're currently depending on the charity of people we just met. I'm all for taking what we can get when we can get it.
It's already stolen. We're just
stealing it
protecting ourselves first.
Repurposing it, if you will.
Yeah, we're repurposing it, and we're not telling elderly old man so he doesn't get hurt later.
There we go.
Wow, we are really rationalizing this really hard, but let's just take it and make some money in the next town over.
Works.
Tally ho!
So you guys like all stash everything away, and is anybody gonna take anything particular? Like Val's taking the ring, Jazz has the arrows. That still leaves the scroll case of the multiverse, the storm giant statue.
I will take the scroll case for sure.
Okay, and you guys can throw the storm giant statue in Jaz'Zara's quiver as well if you want.
Sure.
Alright. That way it's as discreet as it can look. None of it's like really like very obvious. And Val, you think wearing a ring, you're already wearing like some jewelry.
Exactly, I'm already wearing rings, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I would just put it on with the teeth so that like it's just disturbing enough that I'm not gonna look that any closer.
Fair. Like if you need to hide it, you could always like, put it on a little chain and hang it off your tail or something like that.
There you go.
So, but so you guys go ahead and tell me what order you'd like to have a watch in.
I'll take first watch.
You gonna take first watch?
I'll take third. So I'll
Third?
be up
Okay.
earliest.
Jaz'Zara will take the last watch then. So you guys all like bunk down and everything like that, and okay, and Val.
I'm gonna have Myth go to sleep for a while so I can wake him back up in the morning.
All right, Myth kind of like does a little bit of stretching and stuff like that, kind of rubs up against you, kitty cat style, and then just puffs into smoke, swirls around your wrist, and just becomes a bracelet once again. And Val, roll me a perception check for your first watch.
17. It's the theme of the night.
Honestly, this has been the best rolls you've done since we've played. So kudos.
I know.
Kudos to you. You're sitting there, and you don't really you hear like some of the croakings of like the toads and stuff like that. Some fluttering of like the bats and stuff like that. Yeah, that's right about the time you hear the hissing noise. It's a low hissing noise. Then it stops. Then about 5 minutes later, you hear it again, but coming from like a different direction. It goes away. Comes back. A different direction. And yeah, you hear this hissing noise. Anything you'd like to do?
Where is everyone?
I would say that well, let me pull this down so you can move you guys down here. And you can decide. Where would you guys like to be?
Not anywhere near where I tried to sit down earlier. So
Okay.
No hole.
probably the other side of the cave.
This bed here at the top, that's a hole. And
Okay.
then this one over here is also a hole.
Yeah, anywhere opposite the holes. So.
Okay. So maybe like over here?
Mhm.
Alright. And then Val, where would you like to be?
I'll be next to her.
This, up or down?
We'll go down.
Down. Okay. And then Jaz'Zara will then take the one that's like up here. So she'll sleep in this one that's closest to the exits. So
Okay.
she's between you guys and anything that really comes out
Well,
there.
Well, since Asha is just trying to relax, unfortunately she's the closest to me and I don't want to make too much of a noise, but I kind of just tap her with my tail.
And Asha is not Ani sleeping on vacation with a cold. So I awaken
You awaken.
and I say,
And you, Asha, in that moment, hear a familiar hissing noise.
oh. It suddenly occurred to me what's happening.
I think I figured it out too.
And so I'm gonna sit up and be like, please, don't be what I think it is. I'm not really awake. I haven't really opened my eyes. I'm still not quite conscious, but I hear it.
What is that?
And I just let out a little whimper because her asking what is that means she hears it too, and it's not just a bad dream. And so I crack one eye open, and of course it's dark. And
Give me a perception check.
Okay. 22.
So you're looking around. God, you don't want to be awake. You so don't want to be awake right now. But you're looking around, and down the hallway, with like the bat hallway, you see these two little glowing little eyes, and you realize that the hissing noise is coming from over there, and they kind of shift a little and sway, and slowly but surely this creature comes into view. And it is very familiar to you. It is the same one that spent a night sleeping on Valkaria's chest.
So would she wouldn't recognize. She never saw it when. Did
She did.
I did.
She
I
did.
woke up, I saw it, and it ran away.
It pecked her in the face.
Right? And I look at it and I go, Val, your friend. And I put my head down, but I haven't taken my eyes off it. But with a resigned sigh,
It kind of comes closer, and like it kind of like it stops like at 5 feet from Jaz'Zara, and it kind of like walks around, but it's still staring at all of you. It goes over to one of the other bedrolls a little further away, and then it kind of like stands on top of the bedroll, plops itself down, goes sleep.
And at this point,
Okay.
my frustration with life gets me up, and I go over and I tap Jazz 1, 2 with my finger.
And immediately, her eyes snap open, and she's like, "Who's dead?"
No one yet.
Yet.
But and then I
Night.
just
one
point.
night.
I just point.
Jaz'Zara sits straight up. She looks over. She's like, "Oh, for the love of fuck, God, again? Seriously? No." She's like, and she looks at Val, and she's like, "You are awake this time. You are awake." And she's like, did it do anything? Is it doing anything?" And it's sleeping.
Just kind of went to sleep in the bedroll next to you
I came out of that cave though,
with the guano.
so we know it's a fun creature.
Jaz'Zara just sighs, and she looks at it. You know what? Why not? Why not? Why not? We fought toads today. Like, why the fuck not?
I mean, if
Whatever.
it just went to sleep, It wants the same thing we want.
Warmth.
And sleep.
And with
So-
that, Jaz'Zara's like, you know what? Good for it. And she goes back to sleep. She's like, fuck it.
Asha
If it
follows
tries
suit.
to eat you, let me know. Otherwise, leave it alone. Let it sleep. If it's not going to hurt you, don't hurt it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Well,
well,
so I go back to sleep, and you're on watch.
I'm
and
on
you're
first
making
watch,
goo-goo
and
eyes at it.
I am just staring at this thing while I'm listening to like the small noises around me. But Val is just hyper focused on this creature.
Alright. So you finish your watch, just hyper-focused staring on this creature. You wake Jaz'Zara up for the next watch. She looks over, sees the creature. She's just like, oh, of course. And
Still here.
she just kind of sets up for her watch, lets you get ready for bed. She kind of like sits so that she can keep it like in her vision and everything like that. But her watch, let's see, yeah, you know, her watch goes uneventfully. She kind of sits there. The creature doesn't move, just sits, sleeps. She doesn't really hear any noises or anything like that. And time passes, and she wakes Asha up for her shift. And she looks at Asha and says, the creature hasn't done anything. It just kind of sleeping there. Looks pretty
sleeping.
comfortable.
I mean, it didn't really do anything before. It just wanted to take a nap then, too.
Well, hopefully it continues that way, I guess.
So, alright.
And
Val mumbles, "Show it to Myth."
Do you think Myth would have some insight here?
Myth would have lunch.
well, it is much bigger than Myth. But Jaz'Zara looks at Asha and says, well, Myth is technically not from our plane of existence. Like, he says he's from the Feywild. So, he
guess
might have more
wouldn't hurt to
knowledge than
ask
we do.
him.
Yeah, might as well give it a shot.
Alright, let's wake him up. Well, if he's not awake already. Awaken!
And your little companion comes back to life and stretches and just kind of takes his little paw and like rubs his little face, like his little tired eyes. And like, it's too soon. Oh, what demon is that?
Oh, that's Val. But I know I woke you up too early.
Myth completely ignores you. Runs, jumps, lands on Valkaria's face, is like, wake the fuck up!
It's been 10 minutes!
Actual words have been spoken to me.
That's true. And if Valkaria doesn't wake up, Myth is gonna start digging his little claws like into your face.
And I'm not
Wake
gonna stop
up! Wake up! Wake up! And does Val wake up? It's got claws on her face.
I mean, but we know
What
Val's
if-
a heavy sleeper. What
What
should
does
I
she
roll?
roll?
Roll a perception check. I will say it's a straight check because something is actively clawing your face.
15?
15, you wake up. Like, his claws in your face. You wake up, and Myth's face is in your face. And he's like, shut up, that unholy racket, you demon creature.
Huh? What?
You're
Just like,
snoring again! God
Oh.
damn it.
I can't help that.
and, like, Myth, like, sits back and is, like, sitting on Valkaria's chest, and he turns to say something to Asha, and he sees this creature. And he, like, pauses for a second, looks at the creature, then looks at you and says, where did you get the goose?
Is that what you call it?
Goose.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. What is a goose? We don't have them at home.
The tail, like, swishes back and forth. It's like, how the hell did you get a goose?
Not
In
the first time.
tundra. It kind of looks down at you, Val, and it's just like, okay. That's weird. And it kind of, like, pops down, walks over to the goose, and just kind of, like, puts a paw and, like, taps it. Hey! Hey! Who the fuck are you? Hey!
Then he
And the
tries
g-
it again in another language, I think.
The goose's
Definitely
head,
Mr.
like,
Kindly.
comes up, and it, like, looks directly in, like, Myth's face. And, like, Myth kind of, like, tilts its head, and then the goose tilts its head. And then, like, Myth shifts, the goose shifts. And this goes on, and, like, shifting a little, and, like, tail wagging and stuff like that. And then Myth looks at the goose, nods, turns around, walks back to you guys. Like, okay, he's cool.
care
he have
to
a name?
tell us what just happened?
Yeah, he likes you.
Oh.
All of
Yeah.
us or just Val?
Oh, he says Valkaria makes a. Well, to be fair, he said the purple pointy one makes a great nest.
Well, that's a fine compliment, isn't it?
Purple pointy one makes a great nest.
And
Well, you can tell the goose he can use me as a pillow whenever he wants.
And he relays this information to the goose, and the goose kind of like looks a little happier at that, and it like makes it like a hissing noise and like a gesture at Asha and then Jaz'Zara, and Myth nods. Yeah, he seems to be okay with the two of you so long as you quit trying to make him go places he doesn't want to go. Referring to when you guys like tried to herd him, like like around the camp and everything
Fair.
like that.
Jaz'Zara's
Jaz'Zara's like,
our apologies. We didn't know what he was.
and Jaz'Zara's just like, is there a reason he seems to be following us exactly, like us specifically? And Myth nods and says, yeah, he seems to like you guys. Seems to find you guys fun.
That's it. Okay.
He's taking a liking to you.
Sure.
Is he magical or in any way, or just
He's like,
an animal?
and Myth kind of like tilts his head like back and forth and says, well, in the magic, all the way all animals are, I suppose. The ones that are from here or there or anywhere.
But he's from here and not where you're the Fey plane of existence.
And Myth smiles at you and says, well, I didn't say that. But I don't think that's for me to say either.
So
And,
it's not lunch.
And Myth like
Of course
stretches,
it's not lunch.
walks back over to you, and Asha stretches and says his name is Sir Goosington of Gooseville, and then pops back into a bracelet.
Well, thank you, Myth.
Sir Goosington of Gooseville.
Yep.
I can just imagine us saying that out loud at the goose at the same time in a very similar tone of voice, and the goose just nods once.
Goose looks at all of you, then just tucks his little head back, goes to sleep,
Good night, Sir Goosington.
and it kind of like makes a squawking noise at you, like in acknowledgement, and bunks back down.
Cool. On that note, I'm going back to sleep.
Jaz'Zara's like,
that's fair.
yep. And
Okie
yeah, so Asha, you take the last watch. Morning comes, the goose is still there. Asha, you've spent many hours at this point listening to that noise.
Fingers in ears.
Yep. And
Like-
yeah. So you guys wake up in the morning. You know, you have some of your rations that you'd bought in the village before you left. You pack up
Asha
your stuff.
is just gobbling on her cheese.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Fine breakfast cheese.
and like the goose kind of like wanders over a little bit, kind of like pecking at some of your food, and Jaz'Zara offers it some bread and stuff like that, and it seems pretty happy. You know, it does kind of like hover around Valkaria's face because like you have fish in your bra, and like it knows.
That's right.
And it kind of like hovers at you a little bit, and like kind of like pecks at some of your breakfast and stuff like that. But overall, it just kind of hangs out, just kind of waddles its way around you guys a little bit, and just seems content to sit and have breakfast with you all.
So he's gonna come with us.
Yeah, I was just about to ask Sir Goosington if he's going to accompany
I guess we better wake
us for the
Myth
rest
up
of
since
the.
he's the only one that understands
Yeah.
him. Awaken.
And Myth wakes up and stretches and is like, oh, we're still in this stupid cave? What the hell?
Yes, we're still in the cave.
What's going on?
Sir Goosington, we want to know if he'd like to come with us. If he's gonna stick around for a while, or
Are we going to have a mascot this entire trip?
And, Myth kind of like looks over at Sir Goosington, and Sir Goosington looks over at Myth, and they kind of like have a silent exchange, and Myth says, well, Sir Goosington says he can't promise to be here all the time, but he'll come back.
he'll check
now
back
and again.
in? Okay.
It's like, if you see him, you'll see him. If you don't, you don't.
Help will always be given to those.
Goosey help.
Goosey help.
Goosey help.
He's gonna show up when we're in dire need of help.
And at that, like, Sir Goosington is like sitting on this bedroll, and there's a pillow like in front of him, and he's just pecking the shit out of this pillow, just fully putting a hole in this pillow, and like the stuffing and stuff that's inside, he's just pulling it out and just throwing it, and just pulling it out and just throwing it with his head, and just making a mess.
Becky is eating a cup.
Myth. Does he have something in this pillow? Is something in there?
No.
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 No, he's just a goose. Okay.
And Myth like just laughs, and he said, and he like looks at you, and he kind of like rubs up against you again. He says, "Good luck," and he poofs back into smoke and turns back into your bracelet.
Well,
we have a goose.
we have a goose.
Better than a fish.
Ain't that the truth? You guys ready? And Jaz'Zara
Yeah.
like packs up the rest of her things.
I am so ready.
And you guys, you make your way out of the cave. You cross the little board. None of the frogs seem to bother you. Actually, you know what? Valkaria, give me one more animal handling check.
12.
12. One of these frogs like comes up and is like bobbing along the surface as you cross over this plank and everything. And as you like step across the other side, you like turn and look at it because it ribbits at you, and you turn and you look at it. And just as you do, it shoots its tongue out, which slaps in your face, just rubs its tongue over your face, sticks its tongue back in its mouth, submerges in the water.
Thank you, Sir Toad.
And you just hear a faint underwater ribbit. And yeah, so you guys can like start making your way back towards the town and everything like that. It's about a half-day journey to get there, to get back, and you start making your way. There's no there's no way to get really lost because it hasn't snowed since you guys left. So like your trail is still there, so you more or less like follow it back. It's a little easier because you like follow in the path that you already made for yourselves and all that. And you kind of like make your way, and for part of the journey, Sir Goosington follows you. You look back and he's just waddling his way through your snow trail. And you look back and he probably follows you for like I'd say about 2 hours, and then one time you just turn around and he's just not there, and you kind of like look around a little bit and kind of search for him, but if you go back and you look like where his footprints like kind of end, they just kind of vanish like from one step to the next, and you don't see him for the rest of your trip back. Asha, roll me.
He's moved on for a bit. He's gone back into the goosey plain.
Roll me a d8, please.
He's gone back to Gooseville.
2.
As you guys are wandering back and everything like that, and you don't see too much life or anything going on, but you do hear like something in the distance, and as you look out towards where like the ocean is, you can't really see the ocean too well from where you are, but like it is out there, and you do hear like faint a roaring noise. You can't see anything, but you do hear a faint loud roaring noise that eventually does fade from the direction of the ocean.
Oh, it's not like the tide, it's a separate noise than the tide?
Yeah, it's a roaring noise like a creature.
Okay.
And
that sounds delightful. Anybody want to walk faster?
Yep. And Jaz'Zara like starts marching a little faster. You guys eventually.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yep. And you guys like make your way back, and eventually you see like the town like come into view and stuff like that, and you make your way back into the town. And now that you're in the town, what would you like to do?
Well,
I think we gotta take this mask thing. Or no, I guess we're not taking the mask to Elro. I think we need to go right to Elro and tell him what we found out about the sickness.
Can we make a detour and see if our little wimp of a friend is still in the holding cell or whatever the hell he is? Also, where the hell did we stash Bathtub Tweaker?
Both of the people that you guys had got from the store were taken into custody by Elro and the Glass Blades.
Yeah,
and
I
taken
would
to the
like
town
to
hall.
see them.
All right, so to your knowledge, they're in the town hall. You can walk by it if you'd like.
Yeah, I want to walk by that, see if I can spot them.
Everybody give me an insight check.
Insight.
Jaz'Zara got a 17.
10.
24.
Wow, look at that.
Ooh. As you guys are walking through the town and you're approaching this town hall building, Asha, it's kind of weird to you. The town is really quiet. And, like, you do see, like, a couple people here and there, but, like, it's a lot quieter than it was when you left and, like, the day before. And you walk towards the town hall building. All of the lights are, like, out, and there's nobody here. And it's the whole place is just oddly somber.
I smell suspicion.
Yeah. It's like, was it just because it was market day when we left, and now it's not market day?
How much you want to bet?
That's a no.
No, how much you want to bet that, what's her face, Whoville and her companion came in through here and caused some trouble?
And Jaz'Zara will be like, we need to find Elro. Now.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know where he lives. I guess we could start with the inn.
Yeah. Someone will know there.
So you guys start making your way back to the inn.
Mm-hmm.
And you get closer to the inn. There's more people here. There's some people waiting. There's like groups of people like standing outside and stuff like that. None of them speak to you like as you like approach, and none of them really pay you much mind. They're all just like chatting like intensely amongst themselves and stuff like that. And you kind of like shift your way past like some of these people and stuff like that. They do see you guys, and like when they do notice you as you get like close to some people, they do like part for you as you make your way towards the front doors. And are you going into the inn?
Yeah.
All right. So you guys step through the double sets of doors into the inn itself, and you notice that the inn is extraordinarily hot. And all of the fires in the fireplaces are blazing hot, and standing in the middle of the inn is a couple of glass blades, and you notice Mila is standing there, and you see the jolly dwarf, who's the tavern keeper, is standing there, and there is nothing jolly about his face. It's very intense and everything like that. And he's got a very serious look on his face. Standing there with them in this circle is Elro, who's also here standing, who looks the same as always, and they're just having this very intense, like, harsh conversation, and you guys come through the doors, and they do notice you, and Elro like straightens, and he said, "Oh, you've come back. Did you find the source of the sickness?"
Yes, we think so. We found this in a cave not too far from here. Croaker Cave?
We found stuff in Croaker Cave. We found the culprit, and more answers with more questions.
Did you find a cure?
No, we did not find a cure.
You guys have approached him in this group of people that is talking with him. You notice like a couple of older people that look around Elro's age are also like in the tavern, and everybody seems to be having before you walked in having had a very intense conversation. And Elro looks at you and he says, "It is most unfortunate. I am
Elro,
afraid
what's going on?
I am afraid the sickness has spread. Magic and honor who have contracted the illness.
Oh, how the hell did the kids get this?
Their parents have it as well. It is as of last night. They have contracted it. They came down with the first signs of it, and their parents soon after. It's possible they were infected days ago. It's not really sure. It usually takes a few days before it becomes prevalent and noticeable, but as of last night, the young girls and their parents both have contracted the illness.
Where are they right now?
In their rooms in quarantine. It's possible the illness is contagious."
Okay. Well,
Did they mention going anywhere before they got here? Like stopping off?
No, there was nothing. They didn't know, and if anything, they've come in contact with. You would have to speak with them if you're looking for something particular, and which you can do if you want to. Elro will just suggest that you do so from the doorway.
yeah.
if you would like to speak with them. And he says, Elro will look at you and says, we do not have a cure for this, and if we do not do something, they will die.
Alright,
He's going to ask you first and foremost, it's like, do you need to speak with any of them before, like, sooner rather than later?
I would like to speak to the girls.
Okay. He gestures you guys towards the upstairs, and you make your way upstairs, and they're all in one room, and he knocks on the door, and he says, it is I. They have returned. The ladies would like to speak with you. And you hear a faint but male sounding enter. And Elro opens the door but does not step into the door. He steps back away from it and allows you to stand in the doorway. And he says, do not step within the threshold of the room. And as you look in the room, you see 2 beds. In one of them, which is the larger one, you see Irvin and Fenton, and they are in that, and they're bundled up. They still look pretty good. You know, they've only really had the illness for like a day. They still look pretty good. They do look a little cold. But the girls are in the other bed, and they're like huddled together and stuff like that. And they've got more blankets around them to try and keep them warm. And they don't look bad. They just look like they're, a little scared and maybe a little ill. But, they still have color to their face and everything like that. And the younger one has like a toy that she's playing with, her little like stuffed bear and all that. So, and but they all just kind of look at you.
The blazing fires now make sense.
And Irving will look over and say, "You returned. Did it go well?"
As well as can be expected. No, we do not have a cure. We have answers, some, but we have more questions.
Did you find out what was causing this?
Yes, actually, to a degree. Some kind of blue powder in a vial.
And
now,
at that, you see Irvin's face pale drastically. And he looks at his husband and he says, the elven merchant from a few days ago, she was trying to sell her wares to us. And his husband closes his eyes and is like, I remember. This elven woman was trying to sell some of her goods off, and she showed us some of her wares. It was claiming some of them were from Aor and stuff like that, but they were just
didn't happen to have a giant dragon medallion, did she?
And he kind of tilts his head. He says, I didn't see a medallion, but she had strange tattoos.
That would be Whoville.
And he's like, did what she handed us, is that what caused this illness? Did she infect us with this? Our daughters?
Unfortunately, yes.
We believe so, yes.
And Irvin looks pissed. He looks like real pissed. But Fenton puts a hand on his arm. And Irvin, he doesn't say anything, but he closes his eyes, and he's just really just very angry, but he's trying not to show it, and the girls are right there. And he doesn't want to, get really mad and angry and make the situation worse. So, but you can tell he's pretty pissed, in all honesty. So,
apparently, what was his name?
Irvin and Fenton.
No.
Oh, Ergon.
Yeah. So, apparently Ergon brought 3 vials of this blue stuff back from Aor. One went missing, one we have, and the other had broken and spilled, thus causing contagion. Now, I will tell you that the elf merchant that sold this to you is also infected. Her companion is infected. Her sister is infected. That's
pretty much everyone that's come in contact with it
is infected. We
Fenton
found out.
Fenton will look at you and he says, "The suffering of others does not make me happier about my own situation. Is there anything we can do? I don't." And he gets a little choked up and he's just like, "I don't want my girls to suffer."
We know what it's called. We have some very vague information about it, and
Elro will inquire, and he's like, what is this illness called?
It's called well, we heard one reference to it as frigid woe.
And Ergon will straighten, or not Ergon, but Elro will straighten at that. And he says, I have heard of that. It's been quite some time since I've heard of that. And he starts to tilt his head, and he's like, if we know the name of it, I know people who've dealt with it before. And he starts to really, you can tell he's really thinking, and he's starting to connect some dots and stuff like that. And he says, he's like, wait here. And he walks off, and he walks down the stairs. He comes back a moment later with a couple of the people from downstairs in tow. And he pulls out this map that he had from a bag. And he says, I was going to give this to you as our cartographer finished it in time as a thank you for all that you've done for us. But I suppose now you're going to put it to possible use a little sooner than expected. And he unfolds this gigantic map of Wildmount, which is the map I have, which I will send you as a digital copy of, so that you may look at it. And but I am actually. But this is Palebank Village, and
okay,
gotcha.
And Elro will tell you, and he's just like, this is where we are. However, this is Solrinia. If you go here, across the way, you'll have to take a boat. But if you go there, there is a cleric there. She's not powerful enough to stop the illness, but she can buy you time. If you go to Islecross, go to where Irving had looked for and had possibly found this illness, you might be able to find a cure as well. At most, I think she bought Ergon another month. The girls had just started with the illness, and so did their fathers. I think at most, between the normal length of time that the illness sets in and the added aid if she comes to help us, I can give you 2 months. At best. It will take time to travel the waters to get to Cyrillinia, and then to travel wherever he had gone. I know that he didn't travel this latest journey on this island, of the island that Silrinia is on. He traveled to one of the smaller islands surrounding it. I don't know which, but the people who are there, their entire purpose is travel throughout Islecross. They run expeditions for travelers, for scientists, for mercenaries. They often act as guides. It's one of the whole purposes of the town. If you go there, somebody is likely to know where he went, and if they can't take you there directly, they can at least point you in the direction. It's our best shot at finding a cure for these girls.
And how long of a trip is it to get to across the water?
It'll take 2 days by boat to get to Solrenia. From there, it depends on where exactly it was that Ergon traveled.
Can you spell Solrenia?
Yeah, Syrinlya. I think it's pronounced Solrenia, or something like that, but my god.
Okay, I totally got lost somewhere in the middle. So SYR.
Syrinlya. That isn't the most elven bullshit.
Okay.
And Elro looks at the three of you, and he says, I know you don't owe us any loyalties. You don't owe us anything. And I know it is a lot to ask, especially considering you have goals of your own. But, and he kind of looks at the little tiefling girls huddled in their bed. And is like, please, they will not survive.
Well, fortunately for everyone, whatever journeys that we come across is just another step in the path to find an army that can help us.
Yeah.
And he nods and he says, you will go?
We will go.
We will go.
And Irvin and Fenton both look at you all and they say, we will never be able to repay you for this, but you have our deepest and unending gratitude.
I just have one request.
Everybody in the room looks genuinely surprised and a little affronted.
When all this is over, you will let us take the girls to the Nameless City and show them how we do things.
Irvin like kind of chuckles and he says, we'll work on it. You did tell him it was under siege, so.
As I said, when everything is over.
Yeah. And he says,
he's a little questioning.
We'll work on it. And,
we'll work on it, that's fine.
And Elro looks at you all and he says, the sooner you leave, the better. I will acquire a ship for you. They will take you out to Sorinia. The sooner you leave, the better for everyone. Who knows how long the journey in Islecross will take you.
Alright, now what time is it?
Stock up on provisions.
Yeah, what time is it right now in
It's early afternoon.
Okay.
Somewhere between 11 and 12.
Then should we leave at first light?
Yeah.
We'll stock up on provisions.
Elro is getting your shit together to leave within the next hour.
Oh shit, well, alright, let's go.
And he has provisions brought to you. He immediately starts barking orders. The head of the tavern just starts giving you guys rations and supplies. You can tell this has very much rattled the people. Before, like, it had been infecting, like, people who were, like, not super involved in the town, people who were, like, bandits that nobody really cared about, you know, like, people like Urgon who just, like, kept to themselves, people like Verla Pelk who were, like, eccentric and weird. Now it has impacted not only like these two merchant people who are very much in the heart of part of the town and have really become like adored by the people, but their two daughters who are universally adored in this town. And it has very much rattled all of the people, and they have gathered together and they're giving you supplies, everything you need. Like, somebody is getting a ship together and they will have you ready to leave in an hour.
All right, well then I will start assembling the rations into even things for us to carry.
Yeah. And you guys gather like a bunch of supplies and things like that. Jaz'Zara has the map, and you know, she takes a look over it, and she like starts like looking at like the chart of like where you guys are going and stuff like that. She makes a small note to herself that she may point out to you guys later when it's not so chaotic, but on the map is the name of the place where the drow, like, fort that they mentioned that Irvin and Fenton had seen. She makes a note of the fact that she can see it on the map and where it is.
Okay.
So, just as a little note to herself, because if you guys are going to find allies on the surface, it would be good to start with your own peoples.
Yeah.
And Asha's not going to mention it either, because it seems a little frivolous right now, but she does have a very nice map case that we can put said map in now.
That's fair. And you guys keep the map like in the case.
Yeah, Val is going to ask Elro a question. Elro, I would like to inquire, or say, may I inquire about the whereabouts / condition of the two bandits that we brought to the town center?
With everything that was going on, we interrogated them for some information. They gave it freely. I say interrogate, and I said I ask a question, and they pretty much spilled all of their life stories, which was unnecessary, but appreciated. Because at least I know they're not lying. They were...
And we know they're not geniuses, probably.
He kind of like smirks. It's like, very much not. And he says... We sent them with a group of glass blades early this morning to Uthodurn.
Okay, I would convey to your glass blades that even though they're denser than rocks, I would still keep a watchful eye out against town borders.
What did you find out?
They have some shitty friends.
They have some shitty friends. They are Hulil's Goonies.
I figured as much. They were, you know, once people from Shady Creek Run come into our town, they tend to stay in groups. And Elro tells you that when groups of bandits like these come into town, they usually come in decent-sized groups, and there's always a hotshot leader of some sort, and it's always a pain, and usually they stay for a little while, cause a little chaos, and then harmlessly leave for the most part, more empty-handed than not most times. So
Uville does not seem entirely harmless. Let's just leave it at that.
I will make sure the borders are watched. I appreciate your concern, young lady.
Of course.
And he hands you like a pack of some supplies and stuff like that. And at that, unless you guys have anything else to do, he will start leading you towards the boat.
I have some some herbs that I got from Realm around the holidays last year. The Flurber Berber Hobbit.
Flurber Berber Hobbit.
Hold it.
Okay.
They're special. I think they'd make a tea that would make everyone it feel nice and cozy, not necessarily fix them, but help them be more comfortable. So I'm gonna run up and I guess maybe I should give it to the barkeep so he can make.
Yeah, probably.
Tea. Yeah.
He sees you as you come back in, as everybody's starting to gather outside. And he says, "Everything all right, dear?"
Yes, I just wanted to give you these special herbs that a friend of mine, a cousin really, left me before I left my hometown, and I think it would just help everybody feel a little bit better, soothe some of the chills for everyone who's sick.
And he very gently takes it from you, and like he puts his hand, like his giant like dwarven hand, like on yours, and he says, "You all are good ladies. We really appreciate the fact that you came into town when you did.
I only hope we can be of service."
I only hope we can have our own town to go back to.
And he pats your hand, Asha, and he says, "Thank you. May you have a swift and safe journey."
You stay healthy.
And whole.
And he smiles and like he pats your hand, and like he's very withdrawn at this point because of everything that's going on. But he takes the tea and like he wanders back into the kitchen, and you can wander out of the inn. And Elro like ushers all of you over to towards the docks and everything, a part of the town you've never been to before. And as you make your way over to the docks, he ushers you over to like this fairly decent sized boat, all things considered. And there's a crew like running around and like pulling like ropes and like putting up sails and things like that. And like there's a captain like shouting orders and everything like that. And everybody's like gathering their supplies, last minute supplies being loaded onto the boat. And everybody piles on. Elro and a lot of the other townsfolk stand on the dock along with the barkeep. And you guys walk up the plank to board the boat and sail off to Islecross.
Such a pretty boat. I mean, ship.
And as you board the boat, and Elro, just one last time, he says, "May your journey be swift, safe, and at the very least, make sure you're able to come back in one piece." And he like kind of like gives each of you like your hands like a strong but affectionate squeeze, and the jolly dwarf pats you all on the shoulders, and he wishes you all a swift journey. And you get onto the boat, and you hear the captain yell to set sail, and the giant white sails come furling down, and the boat like jerks as it lurches forward, and you are off into the seas of Islecross. And that is where we'll end our session.
Wow.
Yay.
We made it to the water.
Didn't think you'd end the session on a boat, did you?
And not when
I'm
we
on a
started
boat.
with the toad.
True. The giant toad is what I'm like. I was thinking to myself, Ash is gonna hate it. Ash is gonna hate it if Val does anything with this toad. She gonna hate it. And it's just like, but this toad is also big enough to eat Val. So like, if she does do anything, I might just have it eat her. So you never know.
No,
Asha
it
put a
decided
boot in her
to
ass.
slobber all over my hand.
Yeah, one of the little ones did. Yeah.
Oh my god, I don't think I've seen that before. She has the little plush dice that she puts.
Oh yeah,
dice
that
in.
she puts the dice in.
It has a little pin on it that says "We all speak Draconic."
Aw.
It's really cute. That's from a different D&D podcast, actually. So.
Fish, come here. Okay.
Does Val still have the fish in her bra?
I don't think Val ever takes it out of her bra.
No. I don't
That's
think so either.
disturbing.
It's her comfort fish.
Her comfort fish? Good God.
It's
That's horrifying.
Her emotional support fish.
Her emotional support fish, equally horrifying.
She's.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna acknowledge her. Are you gonna acknowledge her right now?
No, I'm just busy sending you guys like I think it attaches a photo properly of Wild Mount.
Clank.
Clang, clang, clang.
Clang.
Oh, I was telling Ani, I now have I'm just gonna keep my D&D stuff in a bag.
Yeah.
And just leave it in the car so I don't have to like collect it every time. I've got a pen, I've got my journal, I've got my dice.
I think I'm gonna put all this stuff in a bag too and just have it ready.
Yeah. We've reached this juncture.
We have. And I'm gonna use my Crescent City bag.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's the map. Look at that.
Yeah, I think it was trying to send you a video for some reason of the map, and I'm just like, please don't do that. That's weird. But that is the map. I can also email it to you guys if you want to like pull it up on a computer and see it in detail. So, or you could just Google map of Wild Mount. So,
Hillbank Village. So we're gonna be going over that crest and to the left to Islecross.
Mm-hmm. So you guys, yeah, you're going around, like you're taking off from the northeastern tip area, and you're gonna have to sail around the tip of that island and around that small island between the continent and the island of Islecross.
Yeah.
And you'll land at Silrenia. So, and it's supposed to be about a 2-day journey.
And what's the orange road?
Lava.
Okay.
Yay! Sounds good.
Yep, there is, for whatever reason, lava running through. And let me tell you, I have the book that explains every part of these islands. Every one of them is weirder than the last one. Every single one of them. Like, the lava is probably the least weird thing on those islands.
What is the little red patch that's southeast of Xhorhas?
That area over there in Xhorhas, I think that's more lava.
Just that red pool?
That big red swatch?
Yeah, it is something very specific. I remember that. Vermalic Wildwoods. Most of all of that is just a barren field of nothingness. And, oh yeah, you guys are really going to encounter the, really creepy stuff. Like, let me tell you, Wild Mount is so weird. And it has such weird shit in it. And, like, it is so many, like, different, just terrains and stuff like that. And, that's easier if I do this.
Either way, I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
The Vermalic Wildwood is a forest in perpetual fall. And that is a bunch of very red trees.
That sounds
surrounded by a lot of wasteland. But
not
they're
so much the wasteland, but the trees sound pretty.
Yeah, that whole area is really different colors. Like the trees are red, parts of the grass is like really yellow and red and stuff like that. It's very odd looking, but it's kind of pretty. It's very pretty, very fantasy fall.
It's the autumn port.
And I can show you a picture of the mask too, by the way.
Oh, yes.
There we go. I will take a picture of this. The mask comes from one of the books that Ani gave me.
Oh! It's one of Doug's books. Yeah. Suck it!
It's a it's a little fuzzy of a picture, mostly because the book's really old, but also because I can't show you any more of the photo because that's spoilers.
The book is old, so it's blurry.
It's also tilted on its side, so you have to turn the photo.
Oh. It kind of looks like... Kinda, with less foliage, but like the Green Man.
Yeah. The one you guys have is that, but green.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you guys have a creepy ancient demon mask. Yeah. So, any questions or anything?
So far, no.
No, everything's making sense right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good.
I did have this one thing. Hayden showed me a video, and so I'm sure you've seen this part, but it was from one of Matt Mercer's campaigns. And I don't know what preceded this, but the party had basically killed a character, like, and that they clearly thought was just going to be like a side, like one shot, like they were going to see it. And like as they're talking about how they killed him and stuff, Matt just sits there and tears up the character sheet. Just like, and then they all realize what they did. Like, he had written this whole character with an arc and everything, and he just tears it up because they fucked this character so.
Yep.
Aww.
He spent 4 hours working on a boat, like, ocean combat thing that they put an end to within about 5 minutes. Within, like, their first round of combat, they totally just tanked the whole thing because they found a really unexpected way around it. And it's just like, ooh, because one of them happened to know the spell Tidal Wave and just capsized the other boat. So.
Oh, God.
Yep, so he was just like standing there staring, and you could tell everything about the session that he had planned was just over. And it's just like, oh, and you could just see it on his face, and he just had this giant pile of materials and like minis and like all this, and he's just like, well, I won't be needing any of this anymore. There's so much material, and just put it to the side, and they're like, oh no, wait a minute, you can say that it didn't work. It's like, no, it worked, and the enemy boat rolled a 1, so... And it's just like...
Before the paper was just like...
Yep. They had a guest on there once, who was a kobold, and he lasted, I think, 8 minutes, and before he was literally crushed to death by a fire giant, and yeah, it was something else. That was the short life of Spurt. It's just truly
Spurt.
Wait till we get to that point.
Spurt.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, first of all, that's a horrible name.
Wait till we get to that point in our campaigns where we just completely fuck what Misty wanted us to do.
I would feel so bad.
I mean, you guys do what you do. Like, it's fine. I have the more or less ability to, like, just... I know where you're going, and I try not to plan... I do know where I think you're going to go from session to session, and where, like, I need you. As you go, like, in other directions and stuff like that, like, that's fine. I definitely usually just have backup plans for stuff, and I can usually... so far, I've been able to herd you guys, like, in the right direction, so... I sent you the short life of Spurt, so that you may watch all 14 minutes of Spurt's little life. And, and it's hilarious, if for nothing else, the voice the guy uses to play Spurt. It's like, Spurt! It's just like, oh my god.
Oh.
But,
it's Mr. Goosington. Sir Goosington.
Sir Goosington of Gooseville.
Mm-hmm.
So, and did I model him after that goose?
The Duke of Weselton? Oh.
No. That goose from the Goose Game. That really shitty goose from the Goose Game, who the whole point of the game is just, like, the goose goes and, like, takes shit and just like, steals stuff and, like, destroys things and stuff like that.
There's a Goose Game?
Yeah. I think that's what it's called. The Untitled Goose Game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Untitled Goose Game.
You know, I wondered if it was a goose last time. Like,
yeah.
It crossed my mind.
Yeah, I was so hard not to give, like, goose descriptive features. Like, it's white and it has a long neck was as close as I was gonna get, so...
Because I'm going, does it have, is it a ferret or something?
Yeah. I tried really hard not to describe the body.
Yeah,
and,
you are a goose let loose on an unsuspecting village. Make your way around town from people's backyards to the high street shops to the village green, setting up pranks, stealing hats, honking a lot, and generally ruining everyone's day.
Yeah, the whole point of the goose in the Goose Game is just to be the shittiest goose you could possibly be.
And just an Ani game.
Yeah, it's honestly a game I think you'd really enjoy, Ani. Like, I love that game, and it's just...
Unfortunately, it's for the Switch. I don't have the Switch.
Yeah, it's, I don't have the game itself, but I really enjoy watching people play it just for the pure chaos that it causes, and it's just like, oof. But that is why I included it in here. And I found stats for this goose online. Like, there are stats for this goose. And for D&D, because somebody made it, they called it... It's really funny to me, because the stat that this person made for it titles it, since it comes from the Untitled Goose Game, they call it the Nameless Goose. And I think it's really funny, because it's like, we're from the Nameless City, so we have the Nameless Goose.
And it's really appropriate.
It is.
It is. So, yeah. So you guys have a goose that will come in and out of play. So.
She gave you a goose, Ani.
I got a goose.
A
I have a
chaos
goose, and I'm gonna have a hellhound.
Mm.
And I have
a surprise.
And a surprise. And I have eventually a 100 by 100 extra dimensional pocket space.
That's way into the future.
Level 15, I get to put into the garage.
Maybe I'll kill her before then. Like, maybe, we don't know.
Or me. I might just smother her in her sleep.
I mean, that's fair. If she... You never know.
Bless you.
You never know. Like, who knows what'll happen in the
true.
future. But yeah, so you guys have this goose that'll follow you around. Your, both of your items and Jaz'Zara's item, all, like, that you guys got from the Christmas special, all evolve over time. At the moment, Ani... Oh! Obviously. You guys leveled up.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, I almost forgot to tell you that. You leveled up. Yeah, you're
We're
now
level 3 now.
You're both level 3, and Jaz'Zara goes up to level 4.
Yay!
Yeah. And on that note, I believe you both have to pick new spells. So congratulations, finishing the horrible tunnel of frogs is what let you guys like level up and get to that next point. And you guys can definitely make sure you mark yourself for a long rest too, by the way, because you guys are going on your journey at your best. So, Asha, your hit points go up to 27.
Whoa! That's a big jump.
Yep. And for spells, you get to pick one new spell. It can be a first or second level spell.
Okay.
I will say because you can go and you can look at the cleric spells online if you'd like. Or I can send you a link to them. You might want to check into... you have bonus action spells, which is good. You might want to just like check into any of that. Trade any of them out that you think aren't doing you any good if you think so.
Okay.
Or reaction spells. I don't know if you have any at this point, but it might be a good idea to look at bonus action or reaction spells.
Okay. So I basically need to research
I need to
second level spells.
I gotta find my spells. Here we go.
I'll tell Hayden because he'll help.
I have Charm Person.
So does that mean I have 3 spell slots, or I just get to add a new one in?
You're learning a new spell. You can replace... Asha can replace any of her spells after a long rest. But you now can learn an additional spell on top of the other spells that you already know.
Okay, so just one.
Just one additional new spell, yeah. But if you want to tell me, like, I'm trading out some of my other ones, too, like, that's fine. The same goes...
First or second level spells?
Let me look at you for just a second, because you actually have a couple of different choices. First and foremost, you're up to 20 hit points.
Hey! I'm not totally squishy.
Now, this is the part where your homework that you had done before it comes into play. You now have meta magic. You know, we talked about, like, quicken spell and things like that. I know you chose some at some point, but you might want to go back, you know, like, I don't know. I don't remember which ones you decided on.
I think I do.
But you can take a look at those, and because I think it was quicken spell and maybe twin spell, or subtle spell. But you can take a look at those, and I can send you a link if you'd like to look at to read about those, and so you can decide again. But for the spell category for you, my dear, you can trade out any of your current spells. If you don't like any of them, you want to trade them out for something else. And because we can work on that, and which includes your cantrips. I'll let you trade out your cantrips if you want to. But you also learn one additional spell of first or second level.
Okay,
So,
I will do research.
Yeah, so you guys can take a look at that. I'll send you the can send you spell lists real quick. And while I'm here, I'll level up Jaz'Zara real quick so you guys can see what Jaz'Zara does. And I believe you also all got more spell slots too, by the way.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay, for technical purposes of the people listening to the podcast, since Jaz'Zara is a level ahead, she's now level 4, which means she can take her first feat. And she did take the sharpshooter feat, which means when she does an attack with her bow or any other long-ranged attack like that, she can, whatever I add to her attack, I can take 5 off of it. And when I do, I can add 10 points of damage. So she reduces how much she hits by 5, but she can add 10 to it. And so I am having her take the sharpshooter feat rather than an ability score improvement. Her hit points have gone up to 32. And nothing else really changes for Jaz'Zara. Her spells don't change or anything like that. So she won't get new spells until later. Yeah. So Jaz'Zara's spells don't change. Just her getting a feat this level, which is huge, and it's going to make a really big impact on your guys' combat situations. And when you guys reach your next level, you'll have the ability to improve some of your ability scores or take a feat.
Okay.
But I'll go over feats with you guys when you get closer to going up to level 4. So, because that'll be a whole thing, because that's a lot to look at. So, but they can be really useful though. So sometimes more useful than ability score improvements, at least at lower levels. So, because like that extra 10 points of damage for Jaz'Zara is a lot. Like, so if she hits and she manages to do an extra 10 points of damage before she even rolls her damage dice, like she does 10 off the top. And then if she's using Hunter's Mark, that's an extra d6 too. So your girl is trying to be a tank as an archer, which is something. So gonna need to get her some better armor if she's gonna be a tank. So, but yeah. So you guys just let me know if you have any questions about any of the spells or anything like that. Ani, if you have any questions about your meta magic, just let me know.
I will. I will. I'm sure.
Oh yeah. It's interesting, and like some of them are better than others, but you get to pick more of them as you level up and stuff like that too. So, and if you decide you don't like one of them, we'll change them out. Like that's not a big deal. So, but yeah, you guys can change out your existing spells. You get to pick a new one. However you'd like to do that, just go for it and just let me know. And yeah, I think that's where we'll leave everything unless you guys had any questions. Thank you guys so much for taking another little journey with us. We didn't have any fish escapades, but we did have a goose. So there is that. So
a goose that likes the purple pointy one.
Yeah,
because the
goose
purple
who likes...
pointy one makes a great nest, apparently.
Exactly. So you should feel proud.
With love.
Purple pointy one.
With love from the purple pointy one. But yeah, so our party is on their way on a boat. So probably a couple of you guys, maybe all of you, your first time on like a full-blown boat. I would say, like, if you guys want to, like, say you've journeyed on like a boat through like the sea before, we could, you know, like that doesn't bother me. But for some of you, it's definitely your first time on an open ocean, and that's going to be
definitely is
interesting.
For Val.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting. You're on your way to a new place and doing your best to help 2 little tiefling girls and their parents. So
2 little babies.
I gotta be honest with you, I knew this was coming like the entire time, and I was working really hard to endear honor and magic to you guys in the process. And I'm like, I want it to hurt.
2 beautiful little girls this whole time.
And I'm just like, I want it to hurt. It's like I want it to give you guys a. It's like I want to give you guys a good reason to like go out here and like look for this cure and what the hell is going on, because everybody else was either like an asshole or dying, you know, anyway, or something like that, or was trying to leave. But yeah,
not the children.
Not the ones who made Valkaria play heroes and dragons. Like they made her like run around and chirping like a dragon and all that. So
because dragons chirp.
Yeah, they do now.
So, and you guys have a truly evil dragon mask with you, which is a thing.
which is the little piece that starts an overarching thing with your guys' campaign. So
What happens if you touch it?
you'll have
I
to
think
find
that's
out.
a spoiler.
Okay, that's a spoiler.
You'll have to find out.
Not gonna lie, before you said that it was a dangerous mask, my first thought was I want to put it on.
I knew that would be, which is why I continued to explain.
So I
Because
kept talking, but you didn't
Ani
have time.
wants to put it on, but Val can sense the evilness of this thing in front of her. So I'm just like, that's why I kept talking before I let you say anything. And I'm just like, no, listen to me for a moment. This is a demonic thing from somewhere deep in the pits of hell. Like, you need to be afraid of this. And Val is afraid of this because it's scary. So.
No?
But yeah, and if it's something that makes Valkaria sit up and take notice and like be serious about, it's definitely something that Jaz'Zara and Asha are gonna focus on too. So, but yeah, so everything's going pretty good so far, and honestly, you guys are right on track. You haven't I wasn't accounting for fish escapades at any point, but everything else is like nothing too wild out of the realm of my expectations. So. Which is good for me, because fish escapades just makes me sit there like, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with that. So, I don't know what to do with fish escapades. Like, do I know what? No.
No, just go with it.
Yep. So, yeah. So, that's a whole thing that I have to have in my life now. So,
That everyone has to have in their life now.
I know. Made worse by the fact that now you have a fish, so. But yeah. Oh, good God. But thank you guys. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to see that in person when I come visit you. Oh,
Probably gonna just bring it with her to the airport to pick you up.
probably. Probably. Don't try to go through the security with a fish.
I'm not gonna go through security with a fish.
I'm just saying.
I want to be right outside waiting for your ass.
I was just imagining you walking through like the scanning thing, and they open like this, like your bag or something, and they're just like, "What?" Just confusing.
I'm gonna be standing at the end of the, at the bottom of the escalators where you are coming out of, just waving this fish.
Yeah, I'll just look for fish. I won't even look for you. I'm just gonna look above the crowd for fish. Yep. So.
And everyone that walks out past you will be like,
Yep.
no, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So.
Fish at the airport. Fish at the airport.
Fish? Fish?
Just gonna have a sign, and instead of having my name on it, it's just gonna have a picture of a fish that she drew, and just
That would be kind of cute, though.
It's gonna be like, would you like an exfoliant?
I want a picture of a fish
Someone
blowing.
will walk up to you and be like, yeah, what do you got?
Fish.
And it's like, for $10, I slap you in the face with a 10 fish. It's LA. I bet you could get takers. Just say the words all organic and eco-friendly, and bam, you'll be
All
rolling in
organic,
dough.
eco-
It certainly
Eco-friendly
isn't
exfoliant.
fucking vegan.
It's like
Yeah, I
good for
just
the
can't do
mind
it
and the
vegan.
soul.
Ethically sourced salmon. Slap.
Would you like an exfoliant?
I'm just waiting for her to let go of that fish on accident and just.
That's what I assumed would happen.
And then
I haven't
there's a-
seen her hit you with it yet, though, so that's better than I thought. So
Don't remind her.
I always assumed she'd do it on accident. So like she'd be waving it around and accidentally just slap you across the
day
face.
you got it, I was smacking
She
her
was
on the arm
smacking
with
me,
it
like,
because I was
yeah.
laughing so
That's
hard.
fair, but I kind of did assume like you were one day just gonna go like you're making like a gesture of something and just go bam and just smack the shit out of her.
I'm trying hard not to because the pens are in here.
Yeah,
So.
but I'll help her bury your body, so it's okay.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
What a loving
Before or after my mom slaps you across the face?
I mean, to be fair, I'm gonna be busy digging the hole for your body, so I think Aaron's gonna have to deal with that. So
Okay. That will be the third time my mom slaps her. We were talking about that one today at breakfast.
About slapping me? And leaving a literal handprint.
The
Excuse
first time
me?
first time my mom slapped her was over the summer, and Aaron and Geneva were over, and
It's
Aaron
a
was
couple
wearing
years ago.
like shorts and like she's showing off her tattoo and everything. And my mom looks at me because she's hanging out with us. She's like,
She was sitting on the floor. I was sitting on the couch.
and she was sitting on the floor, and she's like, I really want to slap it. I'm like, okay. So my mom nonchalantly, while talking to them, just smack on Aaron's leg, and it was just a red hand.
There, you could see all 5 fingers.
Why?
Because she wanted to.
Because remember, there is no why.
Because she felt like it.
Okay. What was the second instance?
The second one was before Disneyland had reopened after COVID, and we had
Oh,
gone
yeah.
to downtown Disney to shop and hang out and eat. We had come back to realize that Erin had forgotten her phone at the restaurant. And Erin was starting to have like a meltdown, like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was gonna cry.
She was on the verge of tears, and my mom smacked her and went
in the arm.
She's like,
Stop
that right now.
Okay.
It worked.
It worked, because then I had gone in the house, changed into my PJs, and came right back out with my keys. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, it shocked me just enough to stop me.
Fair point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As long as it works, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, when Tawny comes over, my other friend, she knows, Tawny's known me since we were 16. So every time she comes over and my mom goes behind her and starts giving her a little, like, shoulder rub, Tawny is instantly,
You gotta understand, Tawny is 4'9".
9.
So if she shrinks...
Or 4'10", 4'11", whatever.
4'10", yeah.
Yeah.
We'll call it in the middle and call it 4'10".
She's tiny. So,
And
like,
so she shrinks
so it
up
just kind
anymore.
of tenses up. Mom's like, why are you getting so? I'm not going to hurt you. She's saying, I'm not going to hurt you, as she starts digging deeper and deeper.
It's a
All
sign of
right.
affection.
Yeah, my mom's sign of affection.
She's never hit Geneva.
No, she has not.
Because I think Geneva is an angel.
Yeah.
Well.
She's hit everybody else. She's hit Lara. She's hit Nadine. No, she don't think she ever hit Nadine. She's abused Talad. But that's fine.
We're still recording.
It's fine. Like, one of the best things that my mom ever did was we were in junior high, and my mom has zero patience. Like, I remember we got to the parking lot of the grocery store right here, and before we even parked, as soon as my mom got in the grocery store parking lot, the seatbelt was off. Because once that car is in park and it's turned off, my mom is out the door.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have learned to follow suit, so I'm out. Nadine, slightly slower than me, but still, also out the door. Talat is still sitting down in the backseat, seatbelt on. Door is still shut. And my mom is like, hurry up. And she's just taking her sweet ass time. My mom just didn't. That day was not her day. My mom literally opened the door, unbuckled the seatbelt, and pulled Talat out the car going, let's move.
Okay.
If I had 3 middle schoolers in my car, I think I would have done the same. In full fairness.
Fair. That's fair.
And then
I
Talat
think-
had the audacity to kind of like be snarky towards my mom, and she's like, move.
Can you do this reenactment all in Armenian so I can hear it? Because I'm sure, was it in Armenian? Yeah, so.
You want me to do it now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Talat hayde. Talat hayde. Hayde. Betki ertan. Let's go. Hayde. I'm gelam good. Talat arakare. Hayde. Gelam good. Talat gapave. Just and then ensuing with the seatbelt and everything, and just hayde. Let's go out the car. And Talat going, mi pura inzi. And Mom's like, hayde. My mom can hear me. She's like, what are you talking about?
Probably why she can understand what you're saying.
Hadi masing ko Korea for talarin otoy machen hade sirne. Hayde.
Haydi, Elin.
Haydi!
Ichu ka boras kurbaras.
Ayo.
Oh, I saw the look. Remind me to get out of the car really fast. Pile out of the car. Flying out of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Did you tell her? Did we talk about
The slapping?
about the,
This morning, yeah.
Yeah, did you tell her?
Mhm.
So she
Why-
has to be careful.
My time in LA is going to be interesting.
Yes, it is.
This will be fun.
Uh-huh.
But that's the point.
Look at the
She's like, but you came to your senses, didn't you?
Yes. Yes. I learned my place in the hierarchy.
So, you stopped to cry?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instant.
Instant, like, woo! Alright, I'm back!
And I said to you, stop crying. Just
Stop.
go.
You just said stop that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's enough. Go back.
I think it was that's enough.
That's enough.
I think that's what it was. That's
Yeah.
enough. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. It worked. What can I say?
It's true.
Yeah. That's me. What can I say? I can change myself after this age.
10-minute blooper reel.
I know. I think we're moving on 20, but okay.
Oh.
The
Gotta
blooper
block
is
all
just
that
me
raw
going, hide
footage.
it!
Thank you for the performance.
You're welcome.
Alright, we better let Miss DM go to bed.
Yeah, it's late.
Alright, bye. Hey y'all, just a quick little disclaimer here at the end. Per usual, we are not here at the Not Sorry Generation. We are not affiliated with Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast, Critical Role, Matthew Mercer, or any of those wonderful people who are involved in the creation of either D&D or Exandria, just playing in the worlds and having a little bit of fun and creating our own stories as we go. The Nameless City is a creation of the Sorry Not Sorry Generation. Yeah, we're just having some fun with some wonderfully and brilliantly crafted worlds. All of the music in the episode is either from Tabletop Audio or was an in-house creation from a serendipitous setting, which is our own music YouTube channel, and a lot of which of that music you can find either on our Sorry Not Sorry Generation website or on YouTube at a serendipitous setting. Alright, thank you guys so much, and stay tuned for the next part of our adventure.
Tune in next week for more fuckery because we have some serious questions and concerns. Wake the fuck up!
It's been 10 minutes!